Tom Moose a little late. Savado de Texas is getting smoked.
We are live. Welcome to the ProspectsLive MLB Concurrent Draft Show. It is finally here. Thank you for joining us. You could have been a lot of places today. I'm glad you chose it to be with us. I'm your host, Eddie Almaguer. I'm joined by my brothers in arms here, Ralph Lifshitz and Matt Thompson. I hope you're not too tired from the 4-hour 30-team mock draft we held just a few weeks ago. It feels like ages ago at this point, guys. But it's finally here. We're finally at draft day, and it feels like it's literally a year of work, guys, leading up to this moment. You almost just want to kick back and relax, but we're going to have fun with the stream, and we appreciate you guys joining us. And hope you guys have fun with us. You can tune in your comments, give us comments. We'll fly them on the screen for good. Ralph, I'll start with you, my friend. You've been our Ken Rosenthal of Prospects Live today, man. Just with the rumor post that we've got going on, you've been fantastic. Literally, you know, like half of this first round at least already. It seems like you've been so. Hats off to you, my friend. What are your expectations today, and your general emotions leading up to
what,
today?
man? I've had like 3 different first rounds literally in the last like 24 hours, based upon the 2 mocks I put out. The scenarios that, I've been kind of tracking today. But 1 through 17 looks pretty fluid. And then like right before we got on, it seemed like immediately there were some whispers, some smoke that maybe things in the top 5 weren't so sure as they had looked. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to follow. Certainly this is my favorite sort of lane when it comes to baseball content. Over the last year, it's really become my niche. I've met a lot of great people. We've done a lot of great work on the site through it. And unfortunately, I don't get Cape games this year, but that was sort of the jumping off point, which was exactly a year ago. I think Sunday or Monday was like exactly a year from that first time I saw Nick Gonzalez like live. Met Peter and just sort of the journey went away that entire June and July, just hitting games almost nightly, all throughout the peninsula. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of work built up of that. A lot of stuff has changed since then. A lot of things have come full circle. The one thing I know to be true is Tork's going 1 and Aaron Sabato looks like he's going 14, baby. That's for sure.
It's just 2 things you're sure about. Matt, the journey's been long for you as well. You've gone to several draft events. You've gone to your games, man. The emotions leading up to tonight, man. It's a fun time for all of us. It's a good distraction for a lot of us. What are you feeling now, man?
It's another certainty to add is that Ralph is the king of the draft this year for us, man. He's been awesome. But no, I'm excited to get into this, man. It's months and months of buildup, especially with no baseball, right? No baseball on TV, no baseball to go to. I think the last event I went to with organized baseball, I mean, thank God I went to the Arizona Fall League last year, got a little sample because it extended my season, right? And then I went to the PBR event up in Chicago area in February. Other than that, I haven't seen live baseball at all. It's been all video. So it's been rough, man. It's hey, but you got to do what you got to do. Everybody's in the same boat as us, right? So it's
for sure
makes it real fun.
If for some reason you've missed our coverage, we have at the very top of the Prospects Live homepage, we have our MLB Draft headquarters where we have our 101 rankings, which we'll be referring to throughout the day. We'll be showing you several cool graphics we've made up, and this is a good time to take a chance to say what's up to our producers in the back, Sam McWhorter, Mike Marino, Chris Dunn. Big help from them. So, guys, I'm a big behind-the-scenes guy in my day-to-day job, so really appreciate what you guys are doing. We're going to have a lot of guests rotate. Well, maybe not a lot, not as much as the 30 people we had, just a handful of both Prospects Live and external guys. I want to bring on our first guy who's going to be hanging out with us for our first few picks. You know him very well. It's Brian Sakowski. My man, how's it going? He's a national scouting supervisor at Perfect Game. You have seen him in pretty much every single player breakdown we've done on our Prospects Live YouTube page with Ralph. Brian, the people know you by now. You need no introduction, but I'll ask you anyway. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. We're ready to roll. The last few days, as Ralph kind of mentioned, have been very run down the phone battery in 2 hours-ish. So, looking forward to just the picks coming out and us stop having to speculate about it.
Yeah. Your phone's been as much of a flurry as Ralph's, I got to imagine.
Probably more, man.
Maybe more. Yeah,
No, it is more. Brian's a true king of the draft, man.
yeah, you're connected, Brian. You're connected, dude.
That's
So
the reality.
I'll ask you the same question. I know as we're waiting for the actual draft to start off, we're just minutes away. Your emotions around this, Brian. I know this is maybe a little bit unusual given everything going on and how you approached your work and what you were able to take away from these players. But uh, this is not your first rodeo. But what's it feel like, man? It's got to be thrilling every time.
Yeah, this is Christmas for me. I mean, honestly, like it's a far more stressful holiday than Christmas was when I was 8 years old. But at the same time, this is what we like. I'll give you an example. Like every year on the last day of the draft, like as soon as the last pick is in, Vinny Servino and I submit our 2021 follow list or like the next year's follow list. So right away, like this is a full year, and then in reality, these players that we've been seeing for 4 or 5 or 6 years since they were in high school, it's that long when it comes to evaluating these guys. So it's a every single year it's like a huge, gigantic like, But then right away it's like, all right, 2021, let's go. So yeah.
I know, man. I feel we. I want to give a shout out to our own Kyler Peterson. A lot of the video you're going to see today will be Prospects Live video. A lot of it shot by Kyler Peterson. Kyler, based in Tampa, where I am, just tremendous grinder, and uh, really a lot of his efforts are allow us to do what we can do, whether we're a home trying to video scout or he's just relaying the information. A lot of the video will also be from Perfect Game. You guys do, of course, tremendous work as well. And some of other friends with 2080 Baseball and Baseball Senses will see some of their video when we get a chance. Uh, I'll start off for you, Ralph, as we're still waiting for the draft to count down. First three picks: Tigers, Orioles, Marlins. You had reported that it was supposed to be Spencer Torkelson, Austin Martin, Asa Lacy. Uh, you gave us word on the side there might be some shakeup. Are you confident leaning one way or another now after Spencer Torkelson? That's kind of the big question now. The Orioles are all of a sudden a wild card.
Yeah, I still think it's going to be Martin. It seemed like it leaned in that direction. And you can maybe even ask Brian about this a little more than myself, but I think there's some smoke potentially around the Marlins, and I guess the word is that Lacy could potentially be off some team sports. So if that's the case, maybe they have a little more leverage. And I think some of this last minute stuff might just be posturing too. So yeah, I would still think it's pretty locked in with that top three.
Good, Brian. With Asa Lacy, I'm kind of curious. He's been a name mentioned for the Marlins. I am, of course, the Marlins fan, so selfishly, I will ask: is there any reason he might be off boards? I've read that some medicals might be just about what you expect to, maybe a little bit concerning. Is
Yeah.
there anything on that front that might the audience would want to know about?
Yeah, that's kind of word that's trickled in like the last hour to 90 minutes is that some teams are worried about Lacey's medical report. I don't know if that's the Marlins specifically. I don't believe it to be. I still think that he's the pick at three, but it was just an interesting sort of dynamic about the Lacey arm and this, that, the other thing. I don't think it's going to be enough to drop him though.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it is pitchers after all, and it is maybe the most precarious position. I want to take a chance now when we get my producers to give us a chance to maybe take you through some of the graphics we're going to be referring to get you acquainted with them. The first one will be the best available players board. So we'll fly that on the screen right now, courtesy of Chip. Chip is a whiz on the background. So now on your screen you can see we will have this kind of dynamic list with a beautiful ticker that you've seen pop up, a ticker that we're going to have as the draft scrolls. I know something we wish we would have had for a 30-team mock draft, but we got a whole crew now, so we're ready for you. Of course, Spencer Torkelson, Asa Lacy, Austin Martin, Hancock, Zach Veen. This is based on our 101, our top 101 rankings. So we'll see. Spencer Torkelson again is a number one guy we expect to see go off the board for Detroit. We got guys where we have as you can now as you can see. We'll fly it back on. We have some neat player cards. Sam, if you can get the Emerson Hancock that just appeared, I know it's I think a little wonky, but I think the fans will forgive us. Nice little bite-sized bullets. As when a player gets drafted, we'll try to fly these when we get a chance to give you a little bit of extra information that maybe we might not say ourselves. Let's jump back to Spencer Torkelson on the topic though. Matt, one of the conversations we've been having inside Prospects Live Discord is is Spencer Torkelson maybe the new Tigers top prospect, or will it be one of the one of the Tigers righties, Mize, Manning, or if you're feeling super spicy, Tarek Skubal?
Man, I still think it's Manning just because I love the athleticism and I think he's a true top of the rotation arm. But I mean, I would slot Torque in between the two arms there. Everything we've seen from Torkelson, dynamic middle of the order type bat, with an actual athleticism, is a little bit sneakier than people think. He's got the nice build. He's a foundational piece to the batting order. Him and it's a scary. I mean, obviously we know how player development can go, but I mean Manning and Mize and Riley Green and Torkelson, that's a pretty strong top four. And Tariq Skubal on the rise as well. It's a fun system there all of a sudden in Detroit. And but the shorter answer to your question is I would still have Matt Manning number one, but Torque would be two for me. I would still have Matt Manning number one, but Torque.
Gotcha, Matt. Brian, I'll take a heat check for you guys as well. Brian, I'll start with you. Do you think Spencer is a new top prospect in the system if he is indeed the Tiger selection, or is it still one of the arms?
Yeah, I think it'll be Torkelson. I mean, I think as a guy who spends no time on the pro side, I want to qualify that, but I think that this would be the guy for them. Yeah.
Cool. Ralph, Manning, Mize, Torkelson.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice top three, right? But I'm still leaning Manning and Mize, simply because in the right circumstances, both of those arms could help a big league club right now. Not that Torkelson is all that far away from potentially doing that, but still a right-handed, right first baseman with no minor league time at all. And Manning and Mize are two of the top arms in the game. I mean, I'm a big Matt Manning fan. I mean, I think we know that. I think he's a top 15 guy. So Torque's not too far off, and neither is Mize. So they're all within shouting distance of like 10 picks. So really, it's splitting hairs.
All right, and we officially have the Tigers on the clock. Just under 4 minutes remaining for Detroit. Finally underway. It's almost a relief, right? Maybe the most anticlimactic pick that we expect. Listen, guys, I'm a fan of Team Chaos here. I'm hoping for some fun with some shenanigans to go down. I want Baltimore to do something dumb with the second pick, just to see something happen. For me. Do you guys have any personal wishes that you want to see this draft? Just almost like a selfish wish that you want to see happen, Ralph?
Yeah, I kind of want to see Pete Crow Armstrong end up in Boston. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the pick I kind of want based on all the guys that are rumored there, or even like Austin Hendrick. It hasn't been an exciting prep hitter in a while. I got a little bit of Cassis, but I don't know. If I get a little more PCA over the next couple of years, I'd be all right with that.
Hey, I hear it. Matt, any selfish wishes?
We're gonna have a little battle over PCA because he's kind of the guy I want for the Cardinals too, man. No, I mean, we can get into team by team specific strategy here in a second, but the Cardinals for me, a team that always picks to the end of the first round, I kind of want them to take one of the dynamic prep talents and then kind of load up on the college guys later. That's what I would be the goal for me. Obviously, this draft can go a multitude of different ways. It's fun to see how it plays out, but that would be my initial plan. And Ed Howard, a PCA, a Bitsko, Abel's not going to be there, but if he's there, absolutely. Stuff like that. Do something like that, then get then start plucking from the deep college arm class later.
Brian, I don't think I've ever asked you. Do you have a a hometown team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm a Detroiter, man.
Oh, okay. So this is great for you. All right, your boy.
1-1 for the second time in 3 years. Here we go, baby. Restore the roar.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I try my best to recuse myself from such things, just because, obviously, I do this for a living, and I don't want he just says the Tigers picked well because he's from Detroit, that kind of stuff. Right. But yeah, I want the Tigers to take Torkelson, and I want him to be Miguel Cabrera. So, and then selfishly, for professional reasons, I want the Dodgers to take Nick Bitsko because I felt like that was one of our more
that'd be scary.
Minority select mock draft picks was I don't think anybody else had him there, and we have decent dope on that. So I'm hoping that turns out right because I'll feel good about it.
That's my new favorite term. Draft dope is my new
draft favorite. Dope, baby. Yeah, there's a tab on my Google sheet that's literally entitled #DraftDope.
I like it. I like it.
Well, we have received word that the Detroit Tigers have made their selection. You see a beautiful graphic. I hope the audience just saw it. The pick is in graphic. We hope you guys enjoy that, the courtesy of Michael Marino there. But it is Spencer Torkelson, the first overall pick in the 2020 MLB Draft. Let's get some video going here. Spencer Torkelson, just an animal. The power, light tower power, just one of those quintessential guys you can use that with. A modicum of plate discipline, so he's not just some oafish slugger. Ralph, you've seen him. Brian, forgive me, I think you've seen him too as well.
It wasn't this spring, but yeah.
Gotcha. So with Spencer, Ralph, talk me through what this guy can do and why Tigers fans should get excited right now.
Yeah, I think it all sort of starts and builds off of his elite plate discipline. I can't talk tonight, apparently. Pitch recognition skills, just his ability to control the zone and really control at bat to at bat. Weight on his pitch. He can drive. He's got all fields power. He can drive stuff certainly to his pull side, but just as easily I've seen him, drive stuff off the plate to the opposite field. So he's one of those rare bats that, he combines plate approach, plate discipline, contact skills, and, big raw power. And, the package, he's 6'1", 6'2", 215 pounds. He's sturdily built. He's a pretty decent athlete for a first base only guy. Probably could play a little left field long term, but it's all about the bat. You're looking for a middle of the order masher.
Gotcha. So Matt, give me the upside statistically, because I'm a big numbers guy. I like to dream on numbers. Give me the statistical output we might see of Torkelson in one of his better years.
Man, that's a tough question. Obviously, I see him. He's hit in the middle of the order. I mean, you can tell that by watching the dude take hacks. He covers the plate, covers the zone extremely well, like Ralph mentioned. He's gonna, 280, 30 home run type potential. It might be underselling the average. I'm very not aggressive when I project batting averages for people like that. So 280 nowadays is elite for a power hitter. So I think we can look at that. And he's an Andrew Vaughn with a better body. And I think he's got a tad more power.
I don't disagree with that. Vaughn Torkelson is going to be a fun debate, at least in the fantasy circles that we're going to see soon evolve. Brian, Spencer Torkelson, 2-time USA team member, third player in Pac-12 history with back-to-back 20 home run seasons, career college OPS of 1.166, and now he can add Detroit Tiger to his resume. Where is Spencer gonna start, you think? Once the minors gets going, I know this is such a weird, funky year, but where is he gonna start to get his reps once he signs his contract and officially enters pro ball?
I mean, in a regular year, where you can kind of count on the minor leagues, I think he's like go to high A in Lakeland for 2 weeks and then go to double A and most likely finish the season there. And maybe we get a handful of at-bats in triple A at the end of the year. And then next year they'll give him a shot to win the spot out of spring training. But in reality, I'm thinking like mid 2021 as when he gets up.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, he can hit.
And just a heads up to our audience, the way we are recording, the way we have the recording routed, just so you can know, unfortunately, we cannot see your comments, which means we can't fly them in. I know I create that audience interaction, so I do apologize that we can't get that going. So you have to enjoy our lovely banter as we got going. So on the clock, of course, we do have the Baltimore Orioles, just under 3 minutes remaining for them. Let's go to our best players available board. Pretty obvious, kind of what you just saw a little while ago. Asa Lacy, Austin Martin, expected to be one of the picks. That's the popular thinking. But we'll see. Again, we're already into the first team that we're hearing can do something dumb. Ralph. What is the case to be made for the Orioles to not take Lacy or Martin? And second, should they do that?
Yeah. I guess the case to be made is just, essentially trying to use their draft pool money, potentially pull some players down to 30. They have the first pick in the competitive balance round A, or pull someone down to 39 with a second pick in round 2. It makes some sense depending upon who they feel they can land at 30 and 39 in such a deep draft as well. It's somewhat appropriate. But ultimately, I feel like the right pick is to go with the best talent available. And whether you think that's Martin or Lacy, it really depends on preferences. Personally, I think I probably would lean the left-handed pitcher with the big vertical movement on the fastball and, the actual velocity from the left side that's so rare. The slider, everything, the total package with Lacy is something that I'd be willing to invest in it too. Even if I had some arms in the system like Baltimore does, I think it just sort of puts an exclamation point on that. And I think he's, sort of the core of a rebuild potentially as well. But, Martin and Adley and sort of trying to build out some of the positional value there. When you have such a dichotomy between the old regime's sort of prototypical player versus the new regime and the sort of, characteristics that they value, because they're much more analytical and data driven than, Stone Age Duquette. So
yeah,
but that might be part of it. It might be Martin for that reason,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and Orioles fans certainly have got a lot to be proud about in the farm system. I mean, Adley, of course, the shining diamond atop that draft board, and no one that the Orioles select today will surpass Adley. So we're not going to have the conversation of is Austin Martin or Lacy going to be the top prospect? But certainly Grayson Rodriguez, D.L. Hall, Michael Bauman, Austin Hayes, just a lot of good names up on the board. They're gonna, I assume, whoever they pick will be the number 2, worst case number 3 prospect for the Orioles now. Matt, I remember in our 30-team GM draft, we were receiving some fun comparisons between Harold Reynolds and you. So I think I'm gonna make you the Harold Reynolds a comp guy for our stream. We need one to compete with
his first comp was an impressive one. He already dropped a Torkelson, gave him a Jeff Bagwell comparison because he squats when he hits. So,
well, yeah, it's got to be Hall of Famers.
It certainly does. Comparison for Austin Martin, though, I mean, the lazy comparison, which I'm sure we're about to see if you're watching it live, is probably Dansby Swanson. It's weird though with Martin because, I mean, Brian and Ralph, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when's the last time we had a slam dunk top 3 pick on talent that didn't really have a true defensive home? It's been a while, right?
Harper. I mean,
right. And that's not really a slight on Martin either, because I think he can play a lot of positions extremely well, which is a good thing, obviously, but you don't really see versatility hyped up as an asset for the top 3 pick in the draft, right?
Get ready, boys. Here we go. 2's going to get weird.
Nick Senzel. Ooh, Nick Senzel technically is that guy, but I don't think we thought he was anything but a good third baseman. The way he played a little shortstop.
But it's not going to be Martin.
Maybe, right?
Martin is not the pick.
Similar in terms of flexibility. All right. He's not
the pick. The pick is in. Let's fly our beautiful graphic. It is not Austin Martin. It is not Asa Lacy. It is Heston Kjerstad. Team Chaos is in the house.
More fun board,
alternative mock. Here we go, baby.
Yeah, it's time for the alternative mock. Ooh. Oh my goodness! Give us a second. I'm gonna put up some video in a hot minute here, but this is it, boys. Just ready up. Heston Kjerstad. First reactions. I'll start with you, Brian. Top of your head, what's going on?
I mean, we'd heard that there was a chance that 2 was going to get wonky for about the last 48 hours. Kjerstad's name was mentioned commonly, along with Nick Gonzalez and along with Zach Veen, though Veen kind of faded later on. Like we stuck with Martin, figured they'd take the best player available. Looks like we should have went with the crazy rumor of the underslot. Kjerstad can bang. I think that there's some Jay Bruce to him. Yeah, I think he's a big leaguer. I think he's an everyday big leaguer. I don't see a star there. But yeah, if this is an underslot deal and you can play it down the board a little bit, it's I no problem with it.
Kjerstad was ranked I'm looking here, 18th in our MLB 101 draft rankings that we dropped a couple of weeks ago. I mean, like you mentioned, his calling card is power. 60 grade is what I'm, what I've kind of seen. He was an SEC Freshman of the Year in 2020. Ralph, I want to go back to you real quick here. You're kind of like my draft puzzle guy here. With Kjerstad now at 2, does this mean that the Orioles already have a deal with someone at 30?
I don't know, but I mean, the pairing that I sort of imagined would be they pulled down Nick Bitsko to 30, who, we were hearing, per Brian that, that was rumored to be potentially the Dodgers pick at 29. Maybe there's somebody else in play here but it's got to be somebody big that they're pulling these funds down on.
I've seen Dax
and they can spend big at both picks. So I'm really interested as to what kind of dough they're dropping at 30 and who they're going to be able to pull down there.
How does this blow back on them? Like, what are the routes for this to blow back on them? Besides obviously not signing the guys, but like, I don't know. What are the avenues for this to just kind of blow in the Orioles space?
I think Kjerstad is an average major leaguer. I think at 2, you're shooting for higher than that. Houston, Mike Elias has done this before with the Astros, right? He did this with Correa. Correa was an underslot number 2 overall pick, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on that. And they used that money and they signed Rio Ruiz and Lance McCullers. So this is kind of right out of the playbook with Mike Elias, who's now the Orioles scouting director. So it might be shouldn't be all that surprising. I mean, Brian and Ralph were kind of dropping crumbs about this possibly happening. At least my communication with Ralph, anyways. I mean, it's still shocking because it's not the second best player on the board, but it's not a shock because we kind of knew it was coming. Does that kind of make sense?
Can I just jump in here with one quick thing too?
Do it.
We had the data-driven board that, we got a little pat in the back from our episode, or Nathaniel Plotz did, Eccentric Laddie on Twitter. If you're not following him already, make sure you do this with 2 C's. But he had Kjerstad as the number 5 guy on his board. He thinks he's a 60 hit, 60 power guy. I'm pretty far off on the hit tool, but he made some data-driven arguments that make sense, that I don't think I could probably argue anything under a 50 based upon some of the stuff he said. Even his zone whiff rate was half of what Spencer Torkelson's is. Torkelson's is like 15%, and Kjerstad's is like 8 or 9. There's maybe a little bit more there than what we're realizing, and we know that the Orioles in Baltimore and Elias is certainly data driven. So maybe that's part of what's playing into it, and not feeling there's any sure thing at some of these other spots. But this is gonna be fun, man. This is gonna be wild.
Gonna be real fun. This is a guy that, like,
I'm not sleeping tonight.
This is one of the guys that we're going to say this multiple times. If the COVID situation doesn't happen, he could have continued his out. He could have just broke out this year, right? He was already kind of on the way there.
Yeah.
By the way, we before we continue, Kjerstad, the Marlins pick, it is in. We are still awaiting word on what it is. It is in though. As soon as we know it, you're going to see the graphic flap, and we'll jump into that. With Heston Kjerstad, I also want maybe Orioles fans to know that maybe if someone a little bit more casual fan sees it didn't take Lacy or Martin, who were the clear top 3 guys, I would be too disappointed. Along with what you said, Ralph, about some of the analytical numbers that maybe Orioles see, like, they're not punting the draft by doing this. This is someone they might see more than other teams do. They might have better notes than other teams did on Kjerstad. It's just a complete possibility. So just because they are going to go a little bit under slot, I know it seems like the team is, again, maybe trying to somewhat punt the draft. That's not going to be the case. I know we heard some rumors of a top 10 team that really is going to do something drastic. We'll see if that really plays out. But otherwise, we're still hanging tight for the Marlins pick. It came in pretty quick. They took just about a minute and a half under timer, so their mind was made up. So, Matt, are you thinking Lacy or Martin here?
I had Lacy on my board, even with Martin available for the Marlins. But, I mean, it looks like there might be something else entirely. I don't want to spoil it because I'm not the guy breaking the news, but.
Well, so
we can wait till the pick comes up if you want.
Say it. If we have it, say it.
If you have it, say it, man. That's what we're here for.
I'll announce it right now.
I'm told this is Max. I'm told this is Max Meier. I hope I'm right.
I didn't hear that at all. That's shocking to me. I like it though. I like it.
Wow, I'm stunned right now. So this
did. Yep, it's Max Meier. Just
Max
came in.
Meier.
Let's fly it. Oh my God, no one had this. Oh my goodness,
They're cheaters. They're cheaters. He laid off all of his.
What were Lacey's medicals like?
That's a good question. So let's dive into Max Meier. Give me a second to pull up some footage of it, because I had Austin Martin footage rolling in the background. Let me get some Max Meier's footage. Now, Max Meier was a guy that was making a jump pretty high up the boards. At first, it was Toronto that was maybe the guy that was talking with him a lot. We heard he was in a lot of Zoom meetings with him, as you can see the perfect game footage of Max Meier. Brian, I'll go to you real quick. This is a stunner. It's not Lacy. It's not Martin. The big three, the two of the big three are falling. Max Meier is the first pitcher off the board. What are we to? How do we react to this? How does the Marlins fan react to this? Tell me how to react to this.
Well, I mean, we need to find out a little later why. We'd heard something with the medicals on Lacy a little bit ago, and I don't want to speculate that that's it, because I don't know that. But with Meier, it's a guy who, from the right side, kind of has the best stuff in the class. The opposite of Lacy in that respect. He's a little undersized, but it's a 70 athlete with 70 arm speed. He's a freak. His stuff holds up. He doesn't look like he'd be durable, but he is. It's, a 70 slider at times. He's up to 101, 102 with his fastball. You worry a little bit about reliever risk, but you could have an ace here. I mean, realistically, this dude could be an ace, and there's not many dudes you can look at and say that might be that. And I think he's got a chance to be.
Well, we had a lot of chatter of I know our own Trevor Huth. He did a podcast where he interviewed Reed Detmers and said, "Hey, if you could have anyone's pitch in the draft, who would it be?" They said Max Meier slider. Everyone wants Max Meier slider, right? So I understand why. The Marlins have significantly improved their pitching development. A ton of the guys took a step up last year. Edward Cabrera. Sixto Sanchez, I tweaked his delivery a little bit. Braxton Garrett, Trevor Rogers, all those guys had really, really solid years. So if we're going to trust a team to do something with a pitcher, the Marlins, I think, have earned at least a right to be mentioned in that conversation, along with the Yankees and the Dodgers. As we wait for the next pick to come in, the Royals are on the clock. Their pick was just in. We have an idea of who it is.
Out there, if you got it.
Well, if we're gonna throw out there,
I'm hearing this. I'm hearing this is Lacy here at 4.
All right. So let's flag the graphic.
Want to go on record that anytime I say one of those things, who knows? I might be just being lied to. So, but yeah, I'm hearing this is Lacy.
That makes sense.
I like it.
Martin's dropping. So I guess one of the questions I have now around Austin Martin is, we had heard really big numbers around, what his number was to sign. Is there an off chance? And probably not. I'm talking 5% chance or greater, right? Or maybe less. Does he go back to Vanderbilt? Is he a guy that can go
back? That's why I'm aggressively nodding my head at you. Is I was told that if he doesn't get top 3 or 4 pick money, he's more than willing to go back to school.
I heard 7,
so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
If it's 7 to 8 mil, I don't think he's getting it now.
No.
So what are the odds that Martin does go back to school then? I mean, because that'd be huge. That'd be a huge change from what we all expected.
The one thing I'll throw out there is, I think the one team that maybe can get something done now, just based upon pool money, they all could do it, but Pittsburgh, with the pick at 7 and then at 31, they have 2 decent slots there plus a second rounder. So they have the actual, pool available, sort of the kitty to pull from in order to make that pick.
And Ralph, I'll stop here for just a quick second. We heard it from our own Brian Sakowski, right? Just a few seconds ago. It is ASA La Stella. The Kansas City Royals, with the 4th overall pick of the 2020 draft, have selected the left-hander ASA La Stella, who was seen as the top pitcher entering the draft. You're seeing video of him right now. Matt, give me a little bit of a breakdown of La Stella for the Royals fans out there. What are some maybe concerns they might have, but also the upside of what it might be for La Stella?
Yeah, the concerns of, obviously, the medicals are we don't know the medicals. I want to make that clear. That might be concerning. I've heard that some teams were kind of put back by him, and some teams were like mild, just wear and tear. Again, I don't know what the medical situation is, but you look at fastball command is the big glaring thing for Lacy. He has the stuff with the big time slider to be the top of the rotation arm, but the fastball command is like the hit tool for pitchers, right? If you don't have that, there's a lot of different things that you need to do to have success. And you're going to look at a lot of other guys later in the draft that, like a Bryce Jarvis and guys like that who kind of added velocity. So they knew how to pitch beforehand, had a good secondaries and all that stuff. And then they found the extra miles per hour. Lacy's always kind of had that big fastball in his pocket. The slider's a relatively new thing. The command of the fastball is a little bit iffy, and if you don't have fastball command, you can't set up the slider. So that's the concern. Let's
take a look at our last 5 picks. We don't even have 5 picks, but I think it's worth just showing this board you're seeing on your screen right now. Spencer Torkelson, Tigers, and then the rest of the teams just gave middle fingers to everyone else. Heston Kjerstad by the Orioles, Max Meier by the Marlins, and just saw ASA Lacy.
Tear up your mocks.
By the Royal, tear up your mocks right now. Right. Blue Jays are on the clock. Do you think that is there such a thing as sniping in Major League in the real life? Because did Meier, did the Marlins just snipe Max Meier from someone?
Maybe. I think it's possible. I always think they know more than we do.
Of course.
Right. I think I lean now. Maybe I mean, I don't know. Martin certainly shakes things up here, but I just wonder if Veen is still in the picture potentially too.
I thought we were going to see two prep guys go in the top 10 picks. I'm not so certain anymore.
Let's take a look at our best available players board real quick. You guys can keep talking under it, but just to show what we have according to our 101. Austin Martin, of course, still the top guy, shortstop from Vanderbilt, who we thought would have gone 2 to the Orioles. He's still hanging around at 5. Emerson Hancock, Zach Veen, the top prep bat in the class, and Nick Gonzalez, Garrett Mitchell, just some names. Just so many ways teams can really just take this. A lot of scribbling out is what I have to imagine is going on in war rooms. A lot of scribbling of the plans that people had. And by the way, I know we mentioned we can't see comments. We're trying to have our producers mention some of them to us in a separate chat. Tyler Jennings, he says my mock draft is absolute toast. Love that the craziness has started early. Tyler, I am 100% with you. I'm always team chaos at every stop of the way. So we're waiting. The pick is in for the Blue Jays. We're waiting, but go ahead, Ralph.
I was going to say, this has probably been the most fun I've had with any draft. Like, just there's so many scenarios that have played out. I mean, obviously it's been the focus as well. But it just seems like there's just been complete zaniness, obviously, because of the 5-round draft.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge delta between like the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams in terms of what their available pool money is, and I think that just makes a huge difference in terms of some of the stuff that's going to happen today.
Team Chaos is leading the pack today. I thought just going into the draft, I thought maybe the top 9 picks or so were kind of not locked in because nothing's ever locked in, but I thought we had a pretty decent idea what the top 9. I was a little questionable what the Angels would do at 10, but that's already been blown up.
Brian, I want to ask you real quick as we're waiting in for the Blue Jays to come in. So I might cut you off, but I want to ask you real quick. A lot of sites, including ourselves, there comes a point where almost a lot of the mocks start looking the same because everyone's hearing the same information. But what might cause something as such a last minute change to shake up the board so drastically?
I mean, it could be something as simple as they just didn't tell anybody the truth. So therefore, words that reached us weren't factually correct. This happens all the time. There are several teams known for blowing smoke like that. Shouts out New York Yankees for one of them. But anyway, it could be something as simple as the medical didn't get seen until the day for some people. It could be something as simple as they offered a deal to one of these guys who declined it, but then their agent called back and said, actually, yeah, we'll take that. It could be any number of things.
I want to revisit the Marlins for a second because that Meier pick is just so interesting beyond the actual player itself. How much money, and I'll pull this up right now, so I already should have it up. How much money should the Marlins be, you think, would save? And Ralph, Brian, Matt, whoever wants to talk it. So Marlins $12 million overall, and their pick is worth $7.2 million in the third overall pick. How much money? And Max Meier, who was projected to go Blue Jays, maybe Mariners, was looking at $6 million, 6.1, 5.7 max. So are the Marlins, do you think they're going to offer him 6.3, 6.4, maybe 6.5, but then use a little bit to save something with their 40th pick? Is that the strategy here for them?
Yeah, probably. Meier, but you can't save too much money though, because Meier was rumored to be going around pick 4 or 5 anyways. So maybe you're talking a couple $100,000 to try to drive some of the prep talent down the board, but I'm not sure that's enough money to do that with. So hard to say. I mean, without seeing the whole draft play out, but maybe that's the thought, but I don't see it really working out.
Gotcha. And we're fairly confident on who is the next pick. I'm going to ask them to let's fly that pick us in, boys. I think we're pretty confident with what we're rolling here.
Yeah.
With the 5th pick of the draft, it's Austin Martin, guys. The free fall has officially ended, and the Blue Jays are the winners of the Austin Martin raffle. We were just talking a little while ago about what his money situation might look like. Apparently, he would have had 7.2, like I just said. Blue Jays 6.1. So I'll just kind of rehash the conversation, guys. Ralph, is this enough to let Austin Martin go back to school?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't have.
Your call. I mean, do you think this would drive him? And if not, maybe give me a percentage as to where you're feeling.
I think I'd be shocked if it's still not enough money, if they're not able to maybe pull a little bit down, that he doesn't sign. I would assume that they feel they can sign him if they're making this pick. But it's not like it hasn't happened before. Top 5 for a college player would be incredibly unusual for him not to sign.
Agreed.
But yeah, no, I think he does. I think it still plays, and damn, I'm excited because I'm going to get to see Austin Martin in New Hampshire probably pretty soon, and a lot of them. So that's good for me. I'll take that.
True. Never draft for need, but Toronto has kind of an empty spot in their outfield as far as prospects go as well. So maybe he slides right into center field.
Yeah, they need center fielders.
Jeez, I'm still kind of reeling, guys. I don't know about you guys. I'm still reeling a little bit from these picks. I'm all twisted up.
Slider, Eddie. You got Max Myers.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Eddie?
No, honestly, I'm hyped for it. There was no connections, no sources like you guys. The ASA La Stella stuff. My only thing is I'm inherently a risk-averse player, but my thing is Lacy's rise came over a 4-start span. He jumped really quick, really furiously, and I would have. Let's see if that held up. Would it have? I don't know. But Max Meier, I'm okay with. Again, Marlins, good development team with pitchers. So I'm ready for it. As we're waiting, let's see. The pick is in for the Mariners. My fellow producers in the back, I think we're going to go with the information we have. Once you fly that pick, we'll announce who the Mariners have selected. I love that graphic. Love it. The pick is in. The Seattle Mariners do select Emerson Hancock with the 6th pick of the MLB Draft. Hancock, someone who was 1-1 a few months ago. Of course, things change once you get into the season, but one of the most polished pitchers in the class, excellent command, good sound mechanics, preseason All-American, just had a really nice overall statistical numbers, but some questions about the competition he was facing, and when the big boys were stepping up to plate, maybe he didn't shine as bright. Brian, Emerson Hancock, what do we got going on?
You could argue that he entered the year as the 1-1 favorite, something like that. Guy whose fastball quality dings him a little bit, but this is I mean, it's the starter package. It's up to 98, 99, 100 at times. He needs to increase his fastball quality, but that's something good player Dev should do and something Seattle should do. The changeup's really good pitch. The slider's really good pitch. It's the whole package. You're looking at hopefully like a number 2 starter there.
Gotcha. Brian, we're going to see you later on in the show. We're going to bring on our next guest, Chris Blessing. Add you to the stream right now. Chris, my friend, make sure your mic is unmuted. Happy to have you join us. Please introduce yourself to the audience first so they can know you. And you're one of our best friends at Prospects Live. I met you at First Pitch Florida. I know Chris, Matt has met you. I mean, just love you. Besos pa ti. But tell me, where you coming from, Chris?
Yeah, I'm in Dalton, Georgia. I work for baseballhq.com. I'm a prospect analysis kind of dude. I am also an associate scout with a mystery team. Some people know, some people don't. And who knows? I maybe get to talk about them later.
Gotcha. So, I mean, Chris, I'm going to ask the same question to every guest that hops on here. So, dude, thoughts on what you've just seen transpire in these first 6 picks?
Pretty craziness. I really thought, oh my God, I might get a chance to talk about Austin Martin. And, he fell to 5. It's pretty incredible.
No, the draft so far has been wild for all of us. Is there any pick immediately off the top of your head that you're thinking, oof, I don't know if they should have done that?
I don't know. I guess if these medicals are correct about Lacy and people are scared away from him, I guess going with potentially the best right-handed stuff in the draft with Max Meier. I mean, you can't really argue with that. You always take stuff over finished. With the college guy, he's a good athlete, and you expect him to, kind of fix maybe. Not fix, but get a better changeup.
Gotcha. And we are waiting for the Pirates to reveal their pick. I'm not sure if their pick is in just yet. We'll find out just very shortly.
This was kind of one of the mystery teams in the top 10 as far as for me. I didn't know where they were kind of at.
Yeah. So, what are you expecting out of the Pirates here, Matt? And let's bring up the best players available board just to maybe see some of the options that could be at their disposal. You can talk over Matt, but you see Zach Veen, Nick Gonzalez. We got to assume maybe one of them are the shot.
Yeah, I would probably say Gonzalez. Maybe it's kind of surprising he's on the board. He'd be our best player on the board was Veen, but I mean Gonzalez would be an interesting choice. Obviously, the man's got power. Our power projection, undersized a little bit as far as second baseman goes, but he can hit. It's been funny because a lot of the people were worried about how much this small sample size might affect people. We've seen Max Meier and Heston Kjerstad were elite producers for this abbreviated college season, and we see them going in the top 5. So perhaps this 2020 season is weighing a little more on the sample sizes than we thought as far as draft goes. But Gonzalez playing into that hot 2020 would be a good pick for Pittsburgh, I think, here. I've seen them linked to Austin Hendrick, the hometown kid. We'll see. With
Ralph, with the Pirates, given their organization and what they already have in the system, and maybe some of the philosophies, which are changing, they did make some changes to the coaching staff this past offseason. What players should they maybe gravitate toward here?
I had been hearing PCA as a potential pick. Where did Seattle go at 6? I totally lost track.
Emerson Hancock.
Yeah, they had Hancock with the 6th pick.
Okay.
So is Zach Veen
there, man? I'd probably take Nick Gonzalez. I think it makes sense there. I think we heard that if he got down to 7, they probably were going to make the pick there. So I think that's still probably it. They had been linked to Kjerstad. They had been linked really early to Hendrick. And we've seen Austin Hendrick drop quite a bit down most boards, especially over the course of today. So I think we're probably going Gonzalez.
Gotcha. Matt,
you lost me for a second there. I had to redo the schedule.
No, that's not good. Matt, do you have a preference as to what the Pirates should do if you're a Pirates fan? Or are you wanting them to select a specific player?
I'm enamored with Zach Veen personally here, but I think Ralph's correct. I think they're going to go Gonzalez. More of a finished product. Pittsburgh is in a rough spot. Every team in the NL Central is probably better than them on paper for the next 2-3 years, and they all have decent enough systems. I mean, the Cubs have a strong top group coming up. Cardinals always find players. You know, Cincinnati's got a okay system at the top, and then it's going to be hard. Pittsburgh, and they're not going to spend a lot of money to get out of that, so it's a weird situation to be in. But Gonzalez gets to the big leagues faster. Maybe that's the pick, but Veen, for me, has a higher upside. So that's where I'm at.
The Pirates just under 3 minutes on the clock to make their selection. You got to have to wonder where their head is at. Chris, I'll round it out here. What's the pick the Pirates should make here?
This is about the point of the draft where usually the best hit tool goes. And I would say Nick Gonzalez would be that best hit tool. So I would say that he would be the one going right now.
That's the pick. I think it's Nick Gonzalez from what I'm hearing.
Bam.
I'm seeing Gonzalez right now too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the timer is still running down on the Pirates. We'll hold off just a few seconds. I completely trust you guys, but just to be safe and sound. But we will expect Nick Gonzalez to flash across the screen very shortly here. How soon can Gonzalez get to the majors if he is indeed a Pirates pick, Chris?
I kind of see him, and I know a lot of people have. I think it's a lazy comp, but a lot of people use Keston Hiura as their main comp for the dude. The similar line that he took to the majors is pretty much what we can expect with Nick Gonzalez. So what was that, like a year and a half?
Yeah.
I think roughly a year and a half. I'm actually pulling it up right now.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me see. Yep, 2017 debuted, and of course, 2019 he was up in the majors. With Gonzalez, there were some conversations a couple days ago, Ralph, in our Discord chat about the power of Austin Martin versus Nick Gonzalez. Where do you sit between those two?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're sourced. You're plugged in. You're plugged in, man. You're in the matrix.
I'm trying to read Chris's calendar.
Gonzalez versus Austin Martin in terms of the power department.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm going to lean back on eccentric Laddie and his great big board. But one of the things he mentioned, and I think it's true, he just was able to sort of put it into more of a data specific or a data driven description. But Gonzalez is already sort of maxed out for lift. He's already sort of leveraging for power. Both guys with elite bat speed, and I think that plays regardless of sort of being smaller in stature. We see a lot of guys that hit for power at the major league level because of the quality of their hands, their ability to adjust, but also just how fast their hands are. And they both have incredibly fast hands, really violent bat speed. And I think it will play. Even a guy like Bo Bichette is sub 6 feet. I know he's listed at 6, but he's just under that. Same sort of thing. And I think it's similar.
Let's fly the graphic, boys. It is official. Nick Gonzalez is the pick, 8th overall. No, excuse me, 7th, right? 7th overall for the Pittsburgh Pirates out of New Mexico State. If I'm not mistaken, someone correct me. I think he led all of D1 this year in a shortened spring with home runs. I think it was 11. Now, granted, he played in the most bandbox of bandbox parks, so big grain of salt there. But really, it's Gonzalez, man. So maybe one of the true steady things that you did mock earlier today, Ralph. You did say just a little while ago if he was there, that was going to be the pick.
Yeah.
But I mean, just again, a brief reaction. Was this the right way to go for the Pirates, given what they had on the board still?
Yeah, it is. I think it's the right pick. It's tough. It's tough to pass on a guy like Zach Veen. But I think you don't want to miss on this one. There's probably a little bit more safety just in terms of what the floor is with Gonzalez. He's quicker to the majors. I think it's also probably a position in need when you sort of look at their core. They have a decent infield core there with Hayes and, depending upon, who ends up at shortstop long-term there, they have a few options. He sort of slides in at second base, and then whatever you figure long-term is at first. They're building an outfield. He's controllable and quick to the majors. I think it makes sense for that particular organization. Upside wise, I think I probably prefer Veen, but we'll see. I'm hearing that it's actually Hassel over Veen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let's take a look at our last 5 picks so far, just to catch the audience up if you're just tuning in. Asa Lacy, went to the Royals after that fall. I'm super curious to hear how Brian alluded to a little bit earlier when he was on the stream. Could there have been some medical information that just isn't as widespread? Hopefully it's not. We obviously wish the best health for every player. Austin Martin to the Blue Jays, Emerson Hancock to the Mariners, and Nick Gonzalez to the Pirates. Shout out Bill Bradley. He said, great video of Gonzalez going yard. I think that was your video, Ralph, if I'm not mistaken.
That was almost a year ago. That was the time I saw it.
Cape Cod. So, again, June 19th, almost exactly a year ago. Shout out to you, Ralph, for your Cape Cod grinding from a little while ago. And let's
good job being at the game.
Yeah, good job, Ralph.
Way to sit down, Ralph.
The real star.
So
I can tell you the exit velo on that homer if you want it too.
Yeah,
sure.
Give
it to me.
Wow.
It was a softie. It was only like 96 miles per hour. So there you go.
Okay, fair enough. He's gonna need a little bit more of that in the Pirates Park. I'll tell you that.
You think everyone knows he gets kind of banged for the offensive environment he plays in and the conference that he's in. His Cape stint, without him performing well and winning MVP, does he get drafted this high?
No, I think that's what made him. He was when I was on the Cape, I was tweeting out things that I thought were potentially like hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
When I said Gonzalez is a first rounder,
yeah,
and then Gonzalez is a top 10 player, and then all of a sudden, it all kind of came to fruition.
I remember you doing that because we were talking about
he was like a second round guy in most early boards.
Yeah.
But he showed, man, and I think he needed that. He needed to go to a wood bat environment that isn't offensively friendly against some of the best competition and do it day in and day out. I think that's something that you see when you're down the Cape is you play a full schedule of games over the course of a month and a half, and they sort of see how you deal with that grind. And he was the best player from end to end. He blew by Deloach, he blew by Austin Wells, and it was really him at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and it's another reason, obviously not this year, of course, but to pay attention to when we do put out Cape stuff. I know it may seem like we're screaming into the void here, but obviously a lot of these names that we're ranking, that we're talking about, are the names that are going to be drafted a year later. And if I'm not mistaken, Ralph, I know you had Nick Gonzalez number 1 only because Spencer Torkelson barely spent any time at the Cape, and therefore he wasn't really eligible to be ranked number 1. But if you were paying attention to our rankings or to the Cape Cod in general, Nick Gonzalez was not a surprise to you, and not a surprise to go top 10 here. The Padres pick is in. We're pretty sure it is half, so we're gonna just wait to be extra sure.
Well, I would like to add something with Gonzalez. Where do you guys feel like his position's going to be? I hadn't seen him live, so I'm kind of relying on secondhand, thirdhand information on this. You try to watch it on TV, you can't really see how he ranges, how he moves, his footwork and stuff. Where do you see it, Ralph?
Yeah, footwork I actually don't think is what the issue is. He moves fairly well to each side. The arm isn't incredibly strong, but it's fine for second base. He makes the pivot fine on double plays. There's no issues there. I actually think where he struggles a little bit, and this is something that's not going to translate anywhere in the field, is his hands aren't great. He might have a 4 glove, really. I've seen him make some incredible plays. A lot of it comes down to his ability to sort of get up there, jump, make plays like that. But he'll boot some routine stuff from time to time. I think a lot of it is because he doesn't have great hands in the field, which is the complete opposite at the plate. His hands at the plate are otherworldly. So
they're exceptional.
Exactly. That there's sort of that juxtaposition, between two sides of the ball. But so maybe that's some of the stuff that with experience or whatever comes, but he was rough at shortstop. He's much better at second. I think he can stick at second long term. I think it's where the Keston Hira comps come in as well, simply because they're at first, second baseman right at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, like with Hira, we didn't know what his position was going to be coming into pros.
And
And we have an idea with Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think he's a second baseman. Yeah, I think he stays.
Now, the pick still isn't officially into the broadcast, but we are going to go ahead and roll with it.
All right.
For the San Diego Padres, there you see the graphic pick is in. They have selected Robert Hassell III with their eighth pick. I'm one ahead. Eighth pick of the draft. This is the team that maybe, honestly, Ralph, it was Detroit with Torkelson, and for me, Hassell with the Padres. I mean, they've been married to this guy for quite a while now, and not even Zach Veen, who's supposed to be the top prep bat in the class, is enough to deter them from Robert Hassell. And for those who might be a little confused, you do see him pitching in this video, but he's also he's a two-way player. So maybe let's start with that, Ralph. Is he gonna go as an outfielder, or are there actually gonna be some two-way question marks here?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see him pitch.
No.
I think it's something that he, potentially he could have done in college had he gone that route. He was a Vanderbilt commit as well as Pete Crow Armstrong, who, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes 9 personally. I don't have any smoke on that right at the moment or confirmation, but wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, kid out of Independence High School in Tennessee, probably arguably the best hit tool in the draft. I know that, my colleague Brian Sakowski and Vinny and those guys over at Perfect Game, when they did their best tools in the draft, they had him ranked as the best hit tool in the prep class. And very few people see these prep players for as long or are exposed as much as the guys from PG. So I take, I do take, their word on that sort of thing. And I think that's exactly what you have here. You have, as we said in our draft video when we broke down Hassell, arguably the best all-around talent in the draft, a guy that maybe doesn't stick in center field like Pete Crow Armstrong, but he could be an above-average right fielder, with hit and power and some athleticism and, the ability to impact the game in a multitude of ways.
Matt, Chris, I saw you open your mouth. What are you going to hit me with?
Yeah, man. One of the things that I heard from scouts is they still have yet to see, the aggressiveness to, maybe loft the ball out to right field. The swing plane's fairly plain, but if you look at his lower body in those clips, he's using his lower body. And while we've had some hit tools in the past that have kind of panned out, the best hit in the draft, like, Blake Rutherford, who also had some age issues, this guy fundamentally is a little further along. He's also driving through the ball, which is a good thing. You want to see that. You get a little less happy about somebody being claimed a hit tool when they're hands driven. And you kind of see that because, some people judge hit tools differently. This is the whole package here.
It's a hands driven swing for Hassell, and to be the negative guy on Hassell, which I mean he's a top 10 pick, so I mean obviously he's got talent. I just question maybe two things: is I don't know if he sticks in center field, and I'm kind of worried about the power development. You can have one or the other and still be a fantastic player, and I do think there's a chance that he could get to 15, 20 homer game power, but there's going to have to be a swing adjustment there, and I wonder what San Diego can do to make that stick. It's a really handsy swing, and is that a good way to describe it, Chris?
Well, I think it was a handsy swing. I think that now it's not so much a handsy swing. There are a few guys that I really tried to contact scouts on this year because I couldn't find current video. Or video that I kind of liked as my choosing. And that was one of the big changes that they saw, was that it was becoming more driven by the body
that's a good sign.
as opposed to just the hands.
Okay, that's a good sign then. So maybe there is some hope for more power in there then. Obviously, he's still 18 years old. I mean, his hope is is probably a poor word. It's not a desperate thing, but like I do think he needs more power if he's going to push to a corner. So we'll see how that goes. Some fourth outfielder, or some tweener risk here with Hassel, but that's one of the least likely outcomes, I guess, that you would like to see for the Padres fans, but that's still a big leaguer. So
I want to take a second here, guys. So I hope you're following along on Twitter as well. We are posting polls when some of the questions demand it. Trevor Huth is running our social media right now and posting polls as to are some of these first-round draftees, are they the new top prospect of the system? I will personally be writing an article about that. I'm hoping to publish tomorrow, but it's good to get some of the fans' immediate reactions. So I want to get your take to what the fans are saying. Max Meier in Miami, is he the guy over Sixto? 52% said yes. Quick reactions. Are the fans wrong?
You know, I don't know if I can argue that. Meier has some really unique characteristics. There's some stuff around Max Meier just in terms of the way the slider moves, and in the right organization, they can, get him to adjust, sort of the radius on his fastball. There's even more improvement. There's a guy that gets 7 feet of extension. Everything that we sort of worry about with Sixto Sanchez, we don't necessarily worry about with Meier, where I think their concerns are very similar, being 6-foot guys who throw really hard. Meier, I think, is just sort of positioned to miss a lot more bats at the major league level. I think that allows him more paths of entry to the major leagues. Not that we have to worry about that with Sixto. Ultimately, I think it means his ceiling's higher, personally, but it's splitting hairs, and it's a good problem to have, to be able to argue Sixto, Cabrera, Meier. And you know that I'm a Cabrera over Sixto guy anyway. So
let's stop right here. Let's fly that graphic here. We have another pick. The Rockies at number 9 have selected Zach Veen, the supposed top prep outfielder in the draft. All right, guys, forgive the fantasy input here, but I am excited about Veen in Coors Field. Right. Well, excited for 3 years of prospect blocking, and then the 4th year, really excited about what that's going to draw. Chris, give me your take. Zach Veen to the Rockies. Initial reactions, man.
Yeah, so this was really the easiest scout of the prep hitters, and I'm waiting for him to swing in this video, a little montage here to kind of show you guys the explosive hip rotation. I mean, this is stuff that you don't see from high school players. He's going to a farm system where, with the short porch in Asheville, he could do some real damage while also, showcasing all those other skills that he has. I love the short stride, the hip rotation. He also does a good job of leveraging his swing. Which, again, we were talking about Hassel just now. And, I'm going to say it. I had Veen ahead of Hassel, just like a lot of other people.
I did too.
And, this kid is a little further along and probably has a bigger ceiling.
I don't think I think everyone's on board with you with that very reasonable take there. Matt, what's the output statistically of Zach Veen that we're looking at here?
I mean, Coors Field, right? That's what there's a Coors Field tax on this too. We have to kind of factor all that in. But I mean, I love the power projection, like Chris said, the explosiveness, the hands, the long torso, and like you said, the hip rotation is top of the scale for what you're looking for. Quick bat, I'm looking at probably 25, 30 homers. In Colorado, you can hit for a healthy average as well.
Has he got speed? Can a man run?
He can run. Give me some skills? I'd put an average run time on him at least, and maybe even more than that. It's so hard to project stolen bases, especially when we're talking 3 years from now, like 3-4 years from now. I'm not even going to try to take a guess at that, Eddie, but he does have the capability. But yeah, I'm excited by this pick. He's got all the skills that I want. He was easily my top prep outfielder on the board, and putting him in this environment, he kind of dropped a little bit farther than I thought, but Colorado comes out very nice. I mean, we heard San Diego probably had a pre-draft deal on Hassel, I'd imagine. They kind of weren't going to budge off of. Is maybe my assumption that happened there, but who knows? Probably going to save him some money because I know San Diego's got some picks later on, supplemental round too. So, but Veen is going to cost Colorado, but it's going to be a nice investment and a potential right fielder of the future here.
And just like many, Ben Chase says Veen in Colorado is going to be nuts. I agree with you, Ben. That's going to be one of the favorite fantasy picks at the very least. So we are waiting for the Angels to come in with their pick. They do have their pick is in.
I'm
what
hearing
say, Ruff?
Howard.
Yeah.
I've heard it's Zed Howard for a few minutes, but
okay.
Seeing Detmers now too, but I also see Howard, so I don't know.
I've got my notes on both players in front of me right now. I'm ready to go.
We got video on both. Get them queued up, boys. But
yeah. We'll wait for the
Howard.
official.
I know Joe jumped in with Detmers.
I think it's Detmers.
I had heard Detmers rumored all day.
I see.
Talked him in earlier.
I see a very good source on Twitter saying Detmers.
All right.
So we're not a sanctioned MLB or ESPN broadcast, so we can talk about the real stuff going on here.
Right.
The Angels were caught with red paint on their hands when the notes came out that they might be the team that tanks. If it's Detmers, is this considered tanking?
No.
In punting the draft?
No, not one bit at all. I'm not the biggest Ed Howard guy, so
it's Detmers.
That would have been tanking, in my opinion.
Let's fly the graphic real quick, confirm, keep it official on our end as well. It is Reed Detmers with the big. I'll pull up the video in just a second. Chris, I'll start with you. Quick thoughts on Reed Detmers.
Yeah, actually, Ralph and I and Ray Butler were on the PitchCon thing, and they threw up some Detmers video, and at that time I couldn't talk about him, so this is awesome. I can talk about him right now. I did mention when I was there, one of the things I really look at him, especially at the video that I've seen this year, watching ESPN games and that kind of stuff, is his ability to tunnel pitches, specifically his fastball and his curveball. While he doesn't have eye-popping velocity, we're going to talk about kind of a below-average velocity on this guy. The pitches look very similar outside of the hand, when he's throwing the pitch from the slot. So I love the curveball. It's deep. It has textbook shape. When we're talking about shape of a curveball, and usually on lefties, there's a few rare exceptions in the game today, but that shape is not there on a lot of lefties anymore. The shape kind of reminds me of Drew Pomeranz. This isn't going to be the high upside guy. This is going to be more of a number 3 starter. But I like the pick. I think it's phenomenal.
Well, Matt, with Reed Detmers, Chris, you said it's not high upside, and I think that's completely okay. And maybe what the Angels need right now, I don't think they can afford to shoot for the moon. They kind of need someone they can count on, because their rotation is almost always in shambles. This was the right pick? It seems you agree with me.
Yeah, I think so, man. And before the draft, we're doing a little bit of analysis, and before Cedric Laddie dropped his little data-driven piece on our site, I was a little bit down on Detmers, but reading his stuff, and if you look at the velocity number for the fastball, you're going to see 92, and you're going to be like, okay, sure. But it's got some vertical movement to it that makes the pitch play up a little bit, according to what I'm reading here, and it's that sets up a big enough curveball, like Chris mentioned, the big loopy curveball. But it plays up because he works his fastball up in the zone, which is a good way to get modern hitters out. With everyone's got the natural uppercut kind of swing, working the upper quadrant of the zone, with a fastball with a good vertical movement. He's, like you kind of said, mid rotation arm. You're not shooting for an ace here, but you're going to get a major league contributor, and there's a chance out of the top 10 picks he could be the quickest one to the majors. I don't know if anyone disagrees with that, but
I agree with that.
I think that's kind of the track you're dealing with. And I think that Eddie, that's what you alluded to right away when you said the pick. I think Angels wanted a near major league ready starter, and I think that's exactly what they got. This fits their needs so well. I like this pick for them. For a lot of other teams, I kind of wouldn't want Detmers, just because I think a lot of other teams can afford to shoot for the moon a little bit. Not here. They need a big league ready starter, and they need it now. So I think this is a good fit.
Sounds good. Chris, we're going to wave goodbye to you for now, my friend. I appreciate you hanging on. We'll see you a little later, if I'm not mistaken. Take a breather, kick backs, and enjoy the craziness that helps. Thanks for hopping on, my friend.
We'll see you again soon.
Man. Thank you. Have a good one.
You got it. And Ralph is off stream for a second. We'll bring him back on. But for now, we got the team analysis legend himself, Joe Doyle, live. What's up, Joe? How's it going?
What's going on, guys? It's been quite a night.
Dude, well, yeah, first question, dude. What was your reaction when first Kjerstad went and then Max Meier?
Well, I mean, the last couple of days, I'd been hearing so much smoke around the Orioles talking to, 4 or 5 different people. I just, it was just one of those things where there's so much smoke, there's got to be fire. I had talked to most of the people in a lot of those different camps for players that were represented, and nobody had any of the answers. And when the answers started circulating about, them going and paying big at 30 and 39, it was a matter of time before we got our answer. So it's been fun. You almost never want to see it go chalk because that's not as fun.
No, I mean, of course not. It's fun for everyone involved. So we're waiting on the White Sox. Their pick is in. We're waiting for confirmation. I think it's Crochet, if I'm not mistaken. But just again, we're hanging on just a little bit longer to make sure we're on the money here.
I'm gonna get ready and predict the Harold Reynolds comp for Crochet.
It's
gonna be Chris Sale. It's gonna be Chris Sale. It's gonna be Chris Sale. That's exactly who he's going to say. Lefty with an orthodox delivery. That's what he's going to say. Fastball slider.
Yeah, it's lazy, but everyone's giving that.
That's what he's going to say. I'm not breaking any news here. That's just Harold Reynolds.
I got Koufax on him.
Oh, there you go. I'll go Randy Johnson. I'll be contrarian.
Yeah. Only Hall of Fame comps on this stream.
That's
if you guys want to jump into the Crochet thing, I think
go ahead.
The conversation really depends on where you see him. Is he going to pitch 6 innings, five or 6 innings, or is he going to be a 2-inning? And this is equally lazy, but to me, he seems like a Josh Hader. Durability, ability to throw strikes, big heater with ride, big slider, and the heater and the slider are really his only 2 dominant pitches. They might both be 70s. So I really think, he could slide right into the Chicago White Sox bullpen this year and be a Josh Hader.
Josh Hader's never been more valuable than he is.
Right.
Josh Hader's that type has never been more valuable now.
So real quick, I'll pull both of you here on a percentage basis. What % chance that Crochet's the majority of his major league career is a reliever versus a starter? Joe, I'll start with you. You brought it up.
I lean pretty heavily on the reliever side. I would say like 66% reliever, 33% starter.
What?
But then again, you might run into a thing where it's like Chris Sale, where he starts as a reliever or he starts as a starter and then he flips back for 2.5 year experiment.
Right.
So,
well,
I'd say mostly reliever.
The people that kept screaming from the top of the mountains that Chris Sale was going to get hurt are finally popping their bubbly they've been waiting on a decade. So
it's gone stale. It's gone stale.
Are they right or wrong? I mean, you know what I mean? But Crochet, I'm with you, Joe. I think he's a reliever. I'll put a 60% reliever tag on it. Not quite as strong as you, but close. I just think he needs a better third pitch, and quite frankly, I don't know if that delivery is going to allow him to throw strikes consistently. I mean, I know Ralph is back, and I know Ralph's seen him more than I have, but I mean, that's my thoughts on Crochet.
Ralph, I asked these 2 percentage chance of reliever. Well, Crochet's the majority of major league career. Will it be a reliever or a starter? Like, what percentage chance are you leaning for each side?
I'm gonna go like 80% chance that he's a starter. I know that I'm out on an island here with this guy a little bit, but I think that the way that fastball and slider tunnel together, it works. I think he does have the ability to throw enough strikes and really land it when he's on. He's pretty athletic. His build is significantly better than Chris Sale's. In some ways, I may even like his mechanics better. The question for me with Crochet comes down to the arm stroke. The position sometimes at strike isn't great. And I think there's some questions around that with health. But if I'm a major league team, I'm not streamlining this guy into the pen. This is a guy that I do want to start because I do think that third pitch I think it's an above average pitch at its best. I mean, it will flash plus. And, that's the thing with that changeup. When you have a slider fastball combination that in tandem, if you didn't have velocity readings on it and we're just looking at raw footage from behind the pitcher, it's nearly impossible to tell apart the two pitches. That's how similar they move, and I think when you're dropping down 20 miles per hour on that, and he's a guy that's been able to ramp it up to triple digits this fall, there's a lot of upside here with Crochet. It's just a matter of him staying healthy and, maybe some tweaks that you can make on the actual arm stroke. But
as we continue talking, let's fly the official pick as in graphic here in Prospects Live. It is official. Garrett Crochet is the Chicago White Sox 11th pick of the draft. I want to take a look as we look at the video here. Joe, talk me through some of the mechanics that maybe Ralph was alluding to. Definitely a little bit of effort, nice rhythm, definitely an athletic pitcher for sure if you can pull off that delivery. What screams to you reliever that maybe Ralph sees as starter here?
Well, I mean, for me, it's not even so much the mechanics. I think the arm spiral is okay once it gets into position. There's a little bit of lag there and wrap in the back. But for me, it's his ability to stay healthy. He hasn't shown an ability. I mean, he's never suffered a seriously catastrophic injury, but he's been banged up. He's missed 2 starts here. He's missed some starts there. His starts have been short. And that coupled with the fact that he struggles to throw strikes on a, game by game basis, even an inning by inning basis. He just seems to me like a guy that you want to throw out there for 35 or 40 pitches and get the most out of his arm and just shut it down. I don't know. I mean, the industry's pretty split on whether or not they think that he's going to be able to throw enough strikes or develop a third pitch to be able to stay in a rotation. But for me, it's not so much mechanical. I mean, there's some tweaks that need to be done for his command, but the safe play is stick him in a bullpen.
Let's fly our last 5 picks graphic just to make sure we're all caught up here. Excuse me. So last 5, Robert Hassel to the Padres at 8. Maybe they just didn't get the memo that things were changing. 9, Rockies with Zach Veen. 10, Reed Detmers with the Angels, and we just saw Garrett Crochet go 11th overall to the White Sox. I want to take a quick second here, guys, and go back to those super interesting Twitter polls that Trevor Huth is popping off over on Twitter. So please be sure to vote. Excuse me. So let me see. Let me put up one here I found interesting. It wasn't Gore. It was. No. Let me see. Oh, okay. The Austin Martin one here. Austin Martin. The fans were voting. Does he top Nate Pearson as a top Blue Jays prospect? 52% said yes. Immediate reactions, Matt.
I will say yes for me, but barely, just because Pearson hasn't shown. It's no fault of his own. He's had restrictions put on him by the Blue Jays. He hasn't shown the ability to do it in large stretches for me. So I want to go with Martin.
Ralph, I know you said Pearson is one of the most impressive players you've ever scouted. Pearson or Martin, and we are waiting for the Reds pick. It is in. We have an idea of who it is, but I want to get your thoughts on Martin versus Pearson at the top of the Blue Jays.
Sure. We'll wait for them to announce Austin Hendrick.
Hey, Bruce 2.0.
But or Bryce Harper, man, right? We don't know.
Yeah, he could. He's got the swag like Harper.
But for me, I think it's still Nate Pearson. When you have a guy like that took to sort of starting in the second half last year when they took the restrictions off, you saw more of the pitch ability. And I thought from what I watched in spring training, we've had plenty of time to review the footage a few times, I saw a step up in some of that pitch ability stuff and some of that command of the secondaries. And just from a raw power standpoint, you won't see much better stuff anywhere. So for me, it's still Pearson, but it's close. I think Martin is comfortably inside the top 50, probably inside the top 30.
Damn. Yeah, that's nice.
I think I agree with Ralph. I'd put Pearson a step ahead, and I'll make it quick and short and simple. I just think it's because Pearson is polished, and Martin, we just don't know where he's going to play. And if you stick him in center field, I'm not entirely convinced that you've got, a solid average center fielder there. So
this was a fun pick here for who's going here at 12.
Yeah, let's fly the graphic in. The pick is in. Cincinnati Reds have selected Austin Hendrick, prep outfielder, with the 12th pick of the draft. Ralph, I remember when we were filming our team analysis video for the Red a couple nights ago, you mentioned if they had to go with an upside pick, Hendrick was the guy. But just today, you were mentioning that Hendrick might start dipping into the 20s because maybe there's some growing concern about the hit tool. So he does go high to the Reds. The Reds have a good developmental reputation now. What are your thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, I think anybody coming into this organization at this particular moment, you have to be excited for them, especially based upon what we had seen previously, throughout the Reds' history over the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. And quite frankly, it's sort of exciting. I was hoping maybe they would go with an arm, somebody with some characteristics they could potentially sort of bore out. But I'm excited to see what they can do with the bat as well, especially a guy like Austin Hendrick, where, there were some improvements early in the spring, late winter, just in terms of his lower half. We talked about that on our video breakdown with Brian Sakowski. And I think, that probably aided the hit tool a little bit. He's a guy that probably needed a full spring to be able to showcase some of that. Last guy we knew that had a profile similar to this, he's certainly not the athlete that Joe Adell is, but there was a lot of concern about Joe Adell's hit tool versus the power. And we've seen his hit tool up until this point. Maybe there were some stretches last year, really hadn't been much of an issue. So, I think potentially this is a guy you could probably get to a 50 hit tool. He's going to walk a lot. If you factor that into your hit tool grades, I think he's always somebody that's going to have a high walk percentage, hit for power. He's sort of an OPS monster, though I know that particular statistic is obviously out of vogue. But I think from a production standpoint, it does sort of paint the picture of who Austin Hendrick can be. And if he comes to fruition and makes the majors, and plays in Great America Ballpark, it's sort of a match made in heaven,
For my take, and I'm coming from the dynasty world, this is potentially a top 5 first-year player draft pat for me right now. I love the allure of someone who walks a lot, who can potentially have 60 grade, potentially even more power. I see Brian Sakowski tweeting upside of 55 hit, 70 power, which is makes me drool when you think about those potential grades on Austin Hendrick. And like you said, in Great American Ballpark, that's a dream come true for me. Joe, Austin Hendrick, now a Red. Was this the right move that they needed to have made?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's an exciting profile at the very least. I really like the Jay Bruce comp. I think that's a fun comparison. I personally have a Jock Peterson comp on him. I think he sells out for power at this point a little bit too often, and they both came with hit tool question marks as they worked their way up through the system. I definitely think that Austin Hendrick is a better athlete than Jock Peterson was. He's got a better arm than Jock Peterson had. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to be able to get past, is he going to be a fringe average hitter or what? But yeah, I think a Jay Bruce like career trajectory, that's not far off. I think that's definitely a ceiling.
Well, I hope prime Jay Bruce. I have bad memories of Jay Bruce, of modern day Jay Bruce right now.
Just as far as like turning into a huge power bat, but also a premier athlete early on.
Certainly. Let's go look at our best players available right now on our graphic. Just some of the bigger names out there: Garrett Mitchell, outfielder, UCLA, extreme athlete, 80 grade speed. Mick Abel, one of the most popular pitchers with fantastic analytically inclined tendencies that teams would love to play with. Jared Kelly, Ed Howard, Patrick Bailey. Guys, any of these names ring a bell for the Giants coming up next?
Yeah, I know. I can speak on it briefly. I've heard Tyler Soderstrom attached to the Giants a lot over the last few weeks. I've also heard that they were really in love with Reed Detmers. I think, this draft has been totally unpredictable, but I think this is going to come down to Cade Cavalli or or Tyler Soderstrom, but I would be genuinely pretty surprised if they didn't go with Soderstrom here.
And the pick is in for the Giants. We're waiting on official confirmation. What is the allure? What is the allure of Tyler Soderstrom or Cade Cavalli?
I hear Bailey, by the way.
Bailey.
Bailey.
What would be the allure of Patrick Bailey?
There we go. Ralph, I'll let you take it on Bailey.
Yeah. So sorry, hold on a second. I think when it comes to Bailey, you're looking at a guy that has power. He's a switch hitter. We saw that power coming into its own. I think he sort of fits the potential model we're going to see with catchers that are strong throwers and not necessarily strong receivers, especially if we do end up with roto umps, which looks like it's inevitable. He's probably sort of the wave of the future in terms of the catchers. I think the upside, if you want to play the Harold Reynolds game here, they're a lazy comp on a guy, but the ceiling upside is really Victor Martinez is what you're looking for. Switch hitting guy, decent, average, probably still more of a 3 true outcome type than Martinez ever was, but I think he'll take it. And I think he should stick behind the plate. So if that is truly what the pick ends up being, and it's not Soderstrom and some of these other guys that we've heard rumored, then, there we go.
Pick is Bailey. It is Bailey.
All right, there we go.
All right, well, let's just let's roll with it. Let's fly in the graphic, gentlemen. The pick is in. The Giants will select Patrick Bailey, switch hitting catcher, college man himself. Let's go to the last 5.
Eddie,
well, actually, video first. Go ahead, Matt.
Question for you, Eddie. This is gonna put you against yourself here. He's a catching prospect, but he's also a high OBP catching prospect. So kind of splitting you right down the middle here, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I'll let everyone else take Patrick Bailey before I make the selection myself. I just
had to get on you for that.
I can't bring myself to do it. He's not. If he really is gonna stick behind the plate, he's not gonna get as many plate appearances as I would like for my dynasty squad. So, Patrick, I'll wish you the best of luck on my other managers' teams there.
Catchers are never sexy.
No, they're not.
And a catcher on the Giants is even less sexy. So. Let's go to the last 5 picks here real quick. Just make sure we're caught up. Reed Detmers for the Angels, 11 Garrett Crochet, 12 Austin Hendrick, 13 Giants Patrick Bailey. Again, Austin Hendrick is the guy that stands out to me as the main attraction here. The Texas Rangers are on the clock. Right? So let's talk a little bit more about Patrick Bailey here. For sure, he's the uncontested top catcher in this draft, right, Ralph?
I don't know if you can make that argument because I think that personally, I prefer Dylan Dingler out of Ohio State.
I do too.
Better athlete. I think that taking the roto ump angle out of it, I think Dingler is going to play in the modern game. He's a better framer. He's a guy that played center field, can probably potentially play all over the diamond. And with an organization where you already have Joey Bart, you would think that maybe Dingler would be a better fit here. I'm a little shocked they didn't go PCA. I thought that would have been an excellent fit,
a nice fit for
San Francisco to sort of round out some of the talent that they have at the lower minors. But, I had heard Justin Foscue here, but they go with the college performer, a guy that had been rumored as a top 10 pick, and probably an easy professional. But, yeah, I don't, for me, I think Drew Romo is probably better is the best defensive catcher too. I mean, he may not get drafted. There's only some teams that he's potentially rumored with, but yeah, for me, I'm not a big Bailey guy. I think he probably saw that in a lot of my mocks. I had him into the 20s just because I thought teams would be smarter than that. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about Bailey, but I'm not a huge Bailey fan.
It's a little bit of 3 true outcome kind of guy.
Yeah.
Going to strike out.
It's arm over receiving. So it's very
modern day catcher. Yes.
Well, it's like 1980s, 90s catcher now could be the roto ump.
Arm strength is going to be the sole determinant for catchers now.
Pretty much.
Sure, probably.
And just your feet, how quick your feet are, and in your arm strength.
Uptime, arm strength.
And if it's a bat first profile, like why wouldn't you go there's Austin Wells is a better play than
Austin Wells is a better bat. I'll say he's a better bat.
I get where they're going here.
Maybe they think he's long-term catcher, and I guess that's the difference maker. But I mean, they did just draft Joey Bart.
Sabato might not be 14 anymore. I'm hearing it might be Foscue, your boy, Matt.
Hey, He's
As
a
long as he's
respectable.
off the board by 21.
he's off the board by 21. That's okay. PCA's still on the board. 21 hasn't happened yet. So.
Let's talk big picture. Who are some names that are suffering the most right now? And are you suffering a little lightly here? But just maybe players that are falling way beyond what they expected. Joe, what do you think?
That's a good question. I really thought from everything that I had heard that Patrick Bailey was going to be the one that was going to suffer a little bit. One name that I am eager to see come off the board at this point is Cade Cavalli. I know that he was attached to a lot of these teams in the 9 to 13 to 14 range. So it's a little surprising to see him still on the board. I don't think, maybe people have this just graded out differently than we do, but I don't think he gets past Chicago at 16. I mean, we'll see, but I have heard the team attached to him. Other than that, I had heard for 2 months that Tyler Soderstrom was locked in between 11 and 13. He was going to go 11 or 13. So the fact that he's not off the board, and I even heard Colorado earlier in the week with Kierstad coming off the board early. So with Soderstrom not off the board yet, I think he's going to get tumbles. Someone's going to get, I think personally, one of the most polished prep bats. I think he's a 55 hit, 55 power. And I'm really surprised that they would go Bailey over Soderstrom. I'm really surprised. It must just line up with their competitive window more.
One guy that should be taken by now that's not is Mick Abel, in my opinion. He should be off the board by now. I know we haven't heard any. I mean, I know Ralph's got ties into where Abel might be going. I'm just surprised more teams aren't on him yet, is what I mean. So
I'm hoping that Abel goes 17 so I can look smart at this point.
No, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out why
Ralph.
he's going to be an arm where you look back on and it's like, why did these 12 teams pass on him? There's 5 guys. I mean, I think. Well, I'm just taking a handful of guys that you can justify picking Abel over, but I kind of think he should be off the board based on talent right now. I know it's a risky pick. Prep ready is the riskiest thing, but
that's what it is, Matt.
Yeah, prep ready is the riskiest profile, but I mean, he's the most advanced prep ready I think we've seen in a while. He's got the fastball command that you can't. That's innate, and he knows how to spin, and delivery's awesome. It's just kind of one of those things, but.
Looks like it's Foscue at 14 and not Sabato. I now have 3 confirmations on this. So,
all right, let's
you can't roll. Pick one. You got to pick the other.
Let's flash the graphic.
Roll it, baby.
Pick is in.
He does.
Number 14, Texas Rangers will select Justin Foscue, second baseman from Mississippi State. Matt, I'm going to start with you here. You did not want Foscue to go to your home, to your hometown Cardinals.
I saw him mock to them. I mean,
why?
I don't think the bat's elite, and anytime you can take a guy that's going to be an infielder with a non-elite bat, I don't think that's I think that's a bottom half of the first round kind of pick, bottom third of the first round kind of pick. Personally, maybe I'm underselling the hit tool. Maybe someone can persuade me and tell me that I'm an idiot and that I'm wrong. I don't think he plays anywhere but second base. Maybe an outfield corner if he has to move off of there. I just think it's. With this prep talent on the board, I think it's a safe pick for an organization for Texas that could probably take a shot, I guess is what I'm saying.
Joe, let me get your thoughts as you jump off here real shortly. Justin Foscue, is he just kind of the boring sort of kind of mid-tier ceiling, high floor, middle infielder that's just kind of always produced at the SEC level? So it's just about as safe as can be. Is that really just what it is?
Yeah, I mean, his bat is going to have to do the talking, right? If he ends up a 55 hitter, 50 power, then that's a really good pro. Yeah. I've got an Aaron Hill comp on him, which I think is, off the expectations. But I just, if he turns in 6 or 7 seasons where he hits 280 and 25 bombs, I'm not sure he can tap into that power, but I think that's a good comp.
Foscue was ranked 49th on our 101. So is there some questions about money saving here?
I think there's money savings absolutely everywhere on this board, with the exception of like Austin Martin. I think anybody that's a college bat, college arm in here is going to come cheap. But another thing is there's just safety in it. A lot of these guys didn't get the looks that they needed, and Foscue has a really high floor, and maybe that was the most appealing feature of his profile.
Gotcha. Joe, we're going to let you go for now, my friend. Appreciate you joining.
Later, guys. We'll do better next year.
All right, let's bring in our own Alex Juicy Jensen. What's going on, Juicy?
How you doing, guys?
Juice.
I'm feeling good. We got Emerson Hancock in Seattle. I'm hyped up.
You got the Seattle hat on, dude. And just again, first question I'm asking every guest: what's thoughts on this wild draft?
Man, I'm enjoying it. I just got the popcorn out. I'm ready. I mean, it's just probably the most fun draft to watch I've seen in quite a while. Just because, I mean, we thought we had that locked in, at least the top 3 for so long, and it just went nuts real quick.
You know, my question is, do you think any teams have screwed up already?
It's so early to say any team is screwed up. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of what the Giants did, like a lot of other people. He wasn't my top catcher on the board there. But, you know, it's too early to see. I don't want to get a sound clip on here that shows pretty bad in a couple of years. So let's at least wait until they get a couple minor league at-bats.
Gotcha. So we're waiting on the Phillies to get their pick in. Ralph, are you hearing anything on this next pick?
Mick Abel, actually.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker for you,
that's
man.
the heartbreaker for
Right.
Ralph Lifshitz, who wanted the hometown.
Can you get sniped in a mock draft?
In a YouTube stream mock draft?
Sniped in a real draft.
Yeah, geez. We'll wait for official confirmation. Alex, what's been your favorite pick so far? And try to remove the bias of Emerson Hancock.
All right. You know, I got to go with Nick Gonzalez. I just like letting that value fall to you. And, I mean, your first draft coming out and taking one of the safest bats there are, when you got a lot of slot money behind it, you can do some fun stuff after that.
Gotcha. Ralph, I'll do a check with you right now. Your favorite pick thus far?
Oof. Man, trying to think, you know, off the top of my part of me is kind of just excited that the Angels drafted a player.
Yeah.
I don't really want to like say that's my favorite pick right now, but I think it's Zach Veen.
That's mine as well.
Yeah.
That's mine as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, and not even from like a fantasy angle, and I know, you know, he's going to be in
Only from a fantasy
Colorado
angle.
in like 7 years, but I'm for me, Veen's one of these guys that like that skill set in Colorado. A little bit.
Sexy,
I like
man.
Hendrick at 12 too. I really do. You know, I think it's a good fit. And you know, I thought we'll see what happens with Lacy versus Meier, but I think having the stones to make that pick a Meier at 3, I dig that too.
Matt, favorite pick of the draft so far for you?
Veen in Colorado. I like that the Angels made a real pick. But can I just say Torkelson at 1? Is that a cop out?
No.
I mean,
if that's really what you like.
I think that's. I mean, he's a legit boss. Like, he's the guy that you want to anchor your batting order for 8 years. 10 years. I think that's the dude, and able to the Phillies. I'll go ahead and say that's one of my favorite picks too, because he should have been off the board already.
Gotcha. So the pick is in for the Philadelphia Phillies. I think we've received enough confirmation that we're gonna go with this. So let's fly that pick is in banner when we get a chance here. There it is. The Philadelphia Phillies with the 15th overall pick in the draft. It will be Mick Abel, prep right-hander,
Huge.
one of the most dynamite talents in the draft. Some rank him even as high as top 5 overall on pure talent. Alex, I'll start with you. Mick Abel to the Phillies, is this the steal of the draft?
Yeah, I think so far, definitely. I want to hold off reservations until I see this next pick, because that might change my answer real quick. But so far, this has to be the steal. And it's just nice to see them change it up after 3 straight years of going really safe college bats.
Is this what the org needed? The Phillies? Do you think it's
Yeah, I think so. I think they need an injection of just real high upside talent. And I think he's just a great fit for any org, honestly.
Ralph, if you're over the heartbreak already of Mick Abel not going to Boston, do you think the Phillies have what it takes to unlock Mick Abel's top of the rotation upside?
We'll certainly see. You know, what we've seen in terms of growth from a guy like Spencer Howard has been tremendous. what we've seen on the other side from a highly touted player like Adonis Medina hasn't been great. He's kind of backed up over the last few years. Some of that obviously has to be on the player. But yeah, I'm gonna hold out judgment a little bit, just in terms of where there could have been better situations. There could have certainly been worse situations for Abel to end up in. So don't think it's a bad situation. And they've certainly brought people into the organization that have made good decisions. They're relatively data driven. So, but they haven't churned out a bunch of great starters either. So, last starter that they took in the first round was way back in 2014 with Aaron Nola. He's been a pretty good one, but they've had a few regime changes since then. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's a bad pick. And honestly, I thought Philly was going to go with a boring guy they could streamline into the bullpen, like a Beer or somebody like that, and they didn't go that direction. So good on Philly. Philly fans, you should be happy with the selection, because I think you certainly got, in my opinion, the best prep arm in the draft, arguably the best arm in the draft long term.
Excuse me, let me still enjoy Max Meier to the Marlins a little bit here. With McAble, we're talking plus fastball, plus slider, but potentially average, above average changeup. Matt, what kind of comp comes to mind here? I'm gonna put you under the gun here. Give me something that a big tall pitcher, 6'5", if I'm not mistaken, righty. I mean, you got anything coming to mind here that we can hold you to and then laugh at later?
Man. As far as frame and stuff, I mean,
Bartolo Colon.
Maybe I'm just kind of pulling this out of my rear end. Maybe he's an AJ Burnett with command.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Alex, what do you think about that?
I'm a little upset with it because that's exactly actually what I was gonna say. AJ Burnett wasn't in the
No, it wasn't. You're lying, bro.
I swear to God, that's funny.
Okay,
wow.
AJ Burnett with command. Okay, Ralph. AJ Burnett with command, right? That's what I assume you were also gonna go with that.
Let's get some unity here.
Sure. I mean, I see it. There's similarities in the mechanics, and Burnett was incredibly athletic and had like off the chart stuff, if you remember, at the time. So, yeah, I hope his career is a little bit more fulfilling.
Stable.
Burnett was bad, but yeah.
No, he's child major league career, but yeah.
Those times where Burnett was on, it was like the same thing with Josh Beckett, that generation. They were fun to watch, but there were other times where they could lose it in the 5th or 6th inning, and everything that they did, they could have a no-hitter through 4, and everything that happened before that was just a distant memory because they gave up 4 homers on 7 pitches.
Eddie, didn't Burnett's on the Edwin Jackson Club? Didn't he have like a no-hitter with like 9 walks?
Oh yeah, dude, it was wild, man. That was a wild no-hitter. Yeah,
I'm hearing Ed Howard to the Cubs.
Howard to the that breaks my heart.
I like it. I like it.
White Sox fan growing up, gets drafted by the Cubs. Hometown kid, gets to stay in the city though. I was kind of hoping Howard might slip a little bit, about 5 more picks or so. Didn't happen, but just the track record for the top prep shortstop is pretty good, pretty strong. And Howard, there was some buzz that Carson Tucker might get picked ahead of him. It wasn't because of skill. It was kind of because there was like the financial aspect. From day one of this draft cycle to now, Ed Howard's always been the top prep guy. There's been no real guy that's been getting hype over him, and I think he's no doubt going to stick at shortstop. I think he's going to hit 25 home runs, even with that kind of power projection. And I don't know what the hit tool might be, but I mean, 25 home runs and a no doubt shortstop is.
That's
incredible.
Let's roll the official graphic right now. The pick is in. The Cubs have selected Ed Howard for their first round pick. Juicy, I'll go to you first here, my friend. This is a popular pick. Ed Howard was someone who really rose up in these last few months. Initial thoughts, man, on the Cubs. The Cubs are pretty good at developing bats. What do you think?
I'm hyped for it. That was exactly what I was going to say. Is I'm just excited to see him get with Stone, because I mean, I really liked what I saw from him over the summer, and there's definitely a little bit of distance to go still with the bat, but I mean, Stone's a pretty good person to be doing that. So I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited for this fit, and I like to see him stay in Chicago. I like to see hometown kids stay home.
I'll put you under the gun here. So they're kind of popular top four is Brendan Davis, Braylon Marquez, Nico Horner, and Albert Alzolay, if I'm not mistaken. Who is we might even omit Nico
Miguel
Horner. Miguel Amaya. I'm sorry, Miguel Amaya, not Alzolay. We might even omit Horner, who's like I think 1 game away from losing eligibility. Ed Howard, does he top any of those names or all of them?
I wouldn't say all of them. They're all really close for me. I think I'd probably slot him in at 4th. I'm a little bit lower on my guy. I know on Miguel Amaya. I know a lot of people are really high. He looks good, but catchers are so risky. I think Ed Howard would be number 4 in the system for me right now.
Gotcha.
Probably the same. Probably the same for me. Probably the same for me. I love Miguel Amaya. I was kind of pushing for him to be the top guy in the system. We know what Brendan Davis's upside is. Well, he's still trying to become a finished product. Braylon Marquez came on, and any lefty that throws, 100 miles an hour on the regular like Marquez, he's a difference maker no matter what. I have to put Howard behind all those guys, but that's an impressive group for your top 4, really 5 guys with Horner. When they trade Chris Bryant, they might add to it. So.
Well, when you make a selection in the first round and there's a lot of debate as to who's the top name in the draft, like that just goes to show that you're slowly building towards something. Like not unlike the Marlins.
Dan Kantrovitz, nice first pick for the Cubs.
Yep.
He used to have the Cardinals and Oakland A's college heavy drafts, and he walks away with Ed Howard. Not bad.
Let's go to the best players available award. See some of the names that might be in play next. We have Garrett Mitchell, Jared Kelly, Cade Cavalli, Pete Crow Armstrong, Cole Wilcox. Ralph, any of these names make sense for who's on the clock right now? already
Boston Red Sox.
For the Red Sox.
All right,
your team.
Looks like my wish is going to come true. It's going to be Pete Crow Armstrong.
I'm getting killed right now.
To the Red Sox. I'm excited about this. This is if it wasn't Mick Abel, I really wanted to be Pete Crow Armstrong. I was hearing some rumors around Bryce Jarvis, potentially underslot here. Big sigh of relief. I like Bryce Jarvis, but I wanted a little bit more upside, wanted a little bit more sex appeal. And Pete Crow Armstrong, great trivia question as well. His mom was the mom in Little Big League. And also both of his parents were on the show Heroes on NBC way back in the day.
I had
watch that show.
Probably the best pun ever for when PCA
Claire's
got
mom.
drafted by the Cardinals. I can't use it now.
His mom. There you go.
Jeez, I think we're still waiting for the pick to officially be in for the Red Sox. I know you were hoping Mick Abel here, Ralph, but I think PCA is still very.
Hey, before the broadcast, I said
he did say that.
So this was my the first thing I wanted. I'd probably rather have an outfielder, somebody I can get obsessed with, somebody that we can dream on to replace good old Mookie Betts. I don't want to see him ruin another top prep arm in the class. We already saw him do that once.
So what you're saying is Pete Crow Armstrong is the next Mookie Betts. Like we heard it here first.
Yeah.
Certainly. Prospect Jesus was the one that said it.
Yeah.
So do we feel confident enough with it?
But I don't want to say that to Eddie.
Juicy, you have any big thoughts on PCA, man? I know
I like the
college
fit.
game, but
I like the fit. I like the fit a lot, honestly. And I mean, I think people are underselling the kind of power he can get into. I don't think it's going to be anything truly special, but I think it's better than a lot of people think. Looking at his diamond kinetics, like he can whip the bat around pretty good.
It's not like
pretty
Corbin
good.
Carroll.
Yeah, that's not terrible. Yeah, I see a little Ellsbury there too, and I don't know. I think he's got a pretty high floor just with his defense, and he could grow into a pretty special offensive player too. So I think it's a high floor, high ceiling.
Yeah, I love the pick. A little jealous of the pick, if I might say so.
Yeah, Matt, you're all the guys that you would want your Cardinals to take. They're just disappearing off the board, man.
I'm more disappointed that my PCA pun is now out the window, but it'll die. So.
What was the pun? You say.
Well, hey, you have to, it would have been Pete Cardinal Armstrong,
Pete Cardinal.
But no longer Pete Red Sox Armstrong doesn't really work. So I can't do it. I had to tweet.
Now it's Pete Cra Armstrong.
There you go. I had the tweet scheduled, but now I have to delete it. So.
Peter Crow Armstrong.
Fuck,
It would be great if they had like Lenny Clark come up to the podium and just announce the pick with the thickest Boston accent. I think that's what we should do. Is every team, to make the draft more exciting across all sports, should have like the most like cliched stereotype of that particular city, like a resident from that city, come up and just
that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be good.
Hey,
I'm
real
here
quick,
for it.
let's go back to some of these polls while we wait for this pick to be official to Boston. Mick Abel, we thought might have been the top prospect for Boston. Is he the top prospect in Philly with Alec Baum maybe standing in the way? Juicy, what do you think?
That's close. That's close. I'm going to say yeah. I'm a little bit lower on Baum than a lot of people. I'm going to jump in. I know that's going to be a hot take, but I think the ceiling is so much higher than anybody else in that system, personally.
So how high do you think Abel can be in a standard top 100 list?
I think that he could wind up one of those top 5. I think he'd be the top pitcher at one point in time. I think he can become a top pitcher in all of minors. I really do think that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're still waiting on the Boston pick to be official.
I'll take Abel over Howard and Baum.
Abel over Howard and Baum. Wow, these are hot takes, boys. I'm not even sure I would take
Howard. I think I'm Howard.
I'm Baum and Howard over Abel right now.
I'm Howard, and I'm close on Baum and Abel, just because of what the prototype is. I mean, like, Baum is not great defensively at either corner, and it's a National League team. Universal DH would help him quite a bit.
You would, yes.
But I think the thing with Baum that he has is he has that balance of power and hit tool that's very rare. And I think for me, that just puts him, just in terms of safety, you have two guys that could potentially contribute if there is a major league season this year versus a guy that's at best maybe 4 years old. Even as talented as he is, not being like a 1-1 top 1-5 guy, I think I lean to the other two guys, but it's close. And Abel's there with a bullet at 3.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Can't argue with really anything what you said. This proximity's got a lot to do with it. But I think ceiling wise, I think Abel's is higher than Howard.
I agree, but I'm a big
long
Howard
way away.
fan too.
Long way away. Maybe I'm not factoring in the years as much as I should, but I just went by ceiling, and Philly's done good things with Howard, and hopefully they can work the same magic with Mick Abel.
Man,
I wonder if there's some drama here, man. I wonder if it does end up being Bryce Jarvis. But the pick is in. We're going to get it right now. Hopefully it's Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, the pick is in. It's been in for a little while.
It's finally being announced, though.
Well, what if we get on air the live reaction to Bryce Jarvis for the Red Sox?
Let's see.
Put his phone down.
Oh, Nick York.
Didn't see that coming.
Hey, curveball.
Wow.
All right. Immediate reaction.
So the pun
Ralph,
lives.
I'll start with your boy, with your team here. What you got?
Wow, dude. One of the better hit tools in the prep class. I didn't have him anywhere within shouting distance here. We heard that he was moving. I didn't think he'd be anywhere in this range. I thought we were talking about a second round guy that maybe a team could, potentially pair up with, another talent in the first round. I'm interested to see what the number is here. This is a to go from Pete Crow Armstrong to this and Mick Abel before that. It's a little bit of a shot, but York's got skills. He's not bad, but I'm a little shocked right now.
What do they pick again?
My man is so shocked. So obviously, we'll fly the banner up just because we're out here always gotta fly the banner up just to because now it's Prospects Live official. So so Nick York, we see some video here playing. Matt and Juicy, I'll start with you, Matt. Quick tidbits on what type of player Nick York is. This might be the first player that pops up that might not be super well known in this first round. So I guess give the people some introduction here.
Yeah, good hands. I don't really know if he sticks it short. I mean, they're kind of gambling here. I actually think that he was announced as a second baseman, if that makes a difference.
He was.
I think he's a late riser. I mean, Ralph literally sent me a text about a guy that was rising up the system the other. I think it was yesterday. My days blend together, but he said Nick York.
Yeah.
And my autocorrect failed me and spelled it like New York. But no, like I mean, it's a bat first profile in my opinion, and there's more to it than this. It seems like it's a money thing. He's a fine player, but I don't think he's Where do they pick? Where do they pick next?
Third?
Where do the Red Sox pick at next?
Isn't it 89th, or am I pulling that out of my butt?
Okay, so they must like him because he's off the board by that
I
pick.
believe the next pick they have is 89.
He's
so
off the board by 89. So I guess this might be a case of go get your guy.
I mean, this is at the draft. The Red Sox are drafting at the turn, a massive turn. But Juicy, your thoughts on New York? This is again someone that I'm not even sure if we have able to put up on our graphic.
Yeah, this was not something I expected. I'll definitely say that. I had to do a quick look at my notes because I hadn't even prepped for having to talk about Nick York right here. The only thing I had in my notes is that he had a potential if he got to college to have a little bit of maybe a Nick Gonzalez to him, like a poor man's Nick Gonzalez. I don't think he has the arm to play shortstop or third base from what I've seen. Good hit tool, good bat to ball, but man, I don't know. That's early.
I mean, listen, these teams are giving these players a contract for a reason. I guess it's up to us to figure out why they did so. Juicy, we're going to leave you here. We're going to bring on our next guest. Appreciate you taking the time and kick back and enjoy the rest of the draft. And hopefully there's more chaos your way.
Thanks, buddy. Congratulations on Emerson.
Oh, thank you, sir.
All right, next up, we're going to bring in another one of our own Prospects Live staff writers. It's Diego Solares rubbing his nose here. What's up, Diego? What you got?
I mean, that Nick York reaction was awesome. So I'm glad I got to see that live.
We talked about Pedro Armstrong for like 3 minutes.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you, Diego. Was your reaction similar when the Padres passed on Veen to take Hassel, or?
No. I'm actually kind of like I've been slowly talking myself into.
Okay, because I know you were probably the biggest Veen guy a couple months ago. I know things can change.
Yeah.
So
I definitely was a Veen guy, but I've been watching a lot of Hassel video because a lot of people have been telling me that it was like guaranteed they were taking Hassel. Like Eddie said, it was Torque at 1 and then Hassel the Padres at 8. So
yeah, I think I told you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm fine with it. Veen in Colorado though it terrifies me as a Padres fan.
Diamondbacks apparently as well.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks do have their pick in. We're waiting to see what's the
I'm going to get
the official selection
here, but I could also be wrong once again.
I will guess PCA as well.
I'm going to go. I'll go Carson Tucker. Why not? It's a complete guess, but I'll go Carson. Yeah, under stock because they got a couple picks coming up.
Bryce Jarvis at 18.
Wow.
So okay.
No one had that. No one had that one.
No, I like Jarvis though.
Okay, let's fly the official graphic as we pull up video. Bryce Jarvis, the Arizona Diamondbacks' first pick in the 2020 draft. Maybe gained some national notoriety for his perfect game that he threw for Duke. Matt, continue. What were you saying as we put up video up? Have it up in a second.
The Diamondbacks are turning into a really strong pitching organization, by the way. I think under the radar on a lot of people. But Jarvis is very analytically driven, as are the Diamondbacks. He's the kind of guy. He's my counterpoint to what I was talking about with Lacy in the first round, in the beginning of the first. Jarvis was a pitcher before he gained his velocity, right? He added a couple of ticks to the fastball while at Duke. Always had the big hook. Always had the nice secondaries. The delivery's clean. And again, he knew how to get hitters out, and then he added upper 90s. I always love guys like that because, even on his best day, he's got a stronger chance of getting, toughing it out and getting through it. But anyways, I mean, he's a solid number 3 starter in my opinion, and I like the athletic frame, and I mean, he's going to get a lot of publicity for the perfect game at Duke. But I mean, looking at the delivery now, you can tell he's athletic, right? Like very driveline type delivery, as you can see, and it's perfect. I like Jarvis, smart kid, and knows what he needs to do to improve, and he's shown it in the draft process. So I'm a fan.
Matt, you did the Diamondbacks top 30. Where do you think Jarvis ranks? I mean, to kind of freshen you up. I mean, you got guys like Robinson, Thomas, Varsho, Perdomo, Corbin Carroll. I don't think he cracks that top 5.
He doesn't top that top 5, but he might slide in after Carroll.
Okay, so the way we had it,
might slide in after
Frias was your number 6 after that top 5.
He'd be ahead of Frias.
Okay, so potentially there's 6 best prospect now.
I don't think he's cracking that. That top 5 is strong.
It is.
And it's really fun with that system. And hopefully I'll get to see him. Who knows what the minor league system's going to look like? But he could go to Kane County next year if there's still a Diamondbacks affiliate. Who knows what's going to happen? But I like Jarvis. I think it's a solid pick. Good organization, and I wouldn't be surprised if he outperforms what we even say he's going to do. What I say he's going to do, just because the organization is top notch. He was rumored to go to Boston, wasn't he, Ralph? This is kind of what they were talking about a little bit there, just before he went here.
Yeah.
So.
New York Mets, just a minute 30 on the clock.
I didn't hear any rumors with York and Boston. Like, I heard 10 names. I'm so shocked at this. It's like it's blown.
Oh, dude. Ralph is shook right now, dude.
Diego, I think I'm on tilt. I'm not shook.
Yeah,
on tilt.
Dude, you're rattled, you're tilted, you're shook, you're all of it, dude, right now.
No, I'm not rattled. I've been drinking so much Red Bull, I could run through a brick wall right now.
So the Red Sox punted the first round, not the Angels. Got it.
Yeah.
What are they drawing in the third is what I want to know.
No, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea.
Diego, Mets about just have their pick is in. Any guesses? Any what they should be? Yeah, Pete Armstrong is someone who's been linked with them.
I think it has to be PCA here. I kind of like Cade Cavalli here too, but I think it's going to be Pete Armstrong.
Yeah,
I'm kind of intrigued that Jared Kelly is dropping so much. I know we heard, I saw something this morning about him potentially dropping out of the top 40, 45, which to me is really interesting. Nick Bitsko too. I think if Bitsko, I think the only thing that justifies to me, is the only thing that justifies Baltimore taking Kjerstad number 2 is if Bitsko is the 30th overall pick in the draft. But yeah, I think this Mets pick is PCA. I think it has to be PCA.
I know we're still waiting for the.
Can't go wrong with Cavalli either. I think Cavalli is a solid option.
I think another dark horse could be Cole Wilcox too.
I like that too.
A little bit. Kind of fits their model. They like college pitchers. They typically go pretty heavy on arms. There's a lot of guys available here. But I don't know. I don't know if Brody wants to make the splash with PCA and try to draw my my Irie, because if he gets past here, I don't know if he lands at 20, man. We might be looking at Matt's wish, and we can just play back the last 10 minutes and
laugh. I can
unveil
unveil my pun.
Into like a dramatic sequence of like Pete Crow Armstrong, York, York, Pete Crow Armstrong to the Cardinals.
Yeah, let's jump on the best players.
The other one's Garrett Mitchell, right? Like where's Mitchell?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say.
I hope he ends at 20.
Mitchell to Milwaukee would be a nice fit.
Yeah, it would. It definitely would.
That's the name we broke down for the Brewers team analysis. Let's show the best players available graphic to see who the Mets have. Maybe one of these guys if they've locked in. Garrett Mitchell at the top of your list there. Jared Kelly, Cade Cavalli, Pete Armstrong, Cole Wilcox, all guys that we've mentioned in the last minute or so. We're waiting just another few seconds to confirm the Mets pick. Reports streaming in that it is Pete Armstrong. So
Pete Mets Armstrong. It doesn't flow.
You know what? We're gonna roll with it. Let's get that graphic going. The Mets
Armstrong picked for the third time tonight.
Yeah, the third time. Yep. The Mets will be picking Pete Armstrong. You see, let's get some the video.
Signed Meier. Is this correct?
Marlins have signed Meier. It's tweet is just out there.
Wow.
We get outside the top 20, homie. Damn.
Dude, apparently they had a deal.
Derek Jeter sweet talked him and got him to give him a gift basket.
Yeah, he got a gift basket. Wow. Okay, well, that Meier news just threw me for a loop. Good for them. They drove down to the wire with Cameron Meisner and JJ Bleday last year, so I'm glad they locked down Max Meier. But Pete Armstrong, I know we basically had a whole segment on him already, but just let's just wrap it up. With the New York Mets, they didn't quote unquote or hashtag Mets it up. Diego, you like this pick for New York?
Yeah, this is a guy who came into last year's summer circuit. Most places had him as the number one prep prospect in the class. He struggled a little bit, didn't really hit that well, but I think he's a really good athlete. Definitely going to stick in center field moving forward for me. I like the bat to ball skills. He doesn't really swing and miss much. The only thing that really concerns me is he's not the biggest dude, so you're probably not looking at much power production. But a hit over power center fielder. Can swipe some bags for you. He knows how to play the game, has natural baseball instincts. So solid pick for the Mets here. I wonder if, because we always talk about the Vanderbilt commitment really driving guys away. I wonder if there'll be any signability issues with Pete Armstrong. Probably not, just because the Mets, probably wouldn't take him here at 20 if that was the case. But there's always that looming factor in my mind with the Vanderbilt thing going.
Piggybacking off of Diego's comments, Matt, defense is the first thing you maybe talk about with PCA. But when it comes to his plate skills, hit over power, like Diego said, what are we looking at when we're talking numbers here?
Again, I want to cite eccentric laddie, Nathaniel Plott's post, elite hand speed. And that's, his really good bat, checked off all the boxes in the bat speed metrics, really good swing plane, gets low spin batted balls. And his blast motion numbers are the strongest amongst the prep players. It's everything you want, man. And it's maybe he makes Mets fans forget about a certain prep outfielder they traded away a little bit ago. I don't know if he's that type of dynamic player, but on the defensive side, he's a no shit up the middle player, and it's a perfect fit for this organization. And he slides in nicely behind Mauricio on their list, so it's really nice fit.
Let's look at the last 5 players selected, just to kind of recap a little bit. We got Ed Howard, 16th overall. I think a universally lauded pick there. Ralph Boyd, Nick York, 17th to the Red Sox. 18th, Bryce Harper, and 19, Pete Armstrong to the New York Mets.
Guys are very nice. I just want you to know.
The Brewers are on the clock right now, just under 3 minutes left. Prof, in our team analysis, we talked about potentially they would want a high upside pick, and that they're an organization that knows how to develop a bat and is a swing. They're not afraid to change a swing of a player, correct?
Who's this? Milwaukee?
Yeah,
Milwaukee,
I think that they're an organization that sort of has the ability to sort of take a player that needs to make some adjustments.
Houston Astros North.
Identify where it is, and make those tweaks. And I think the other part of it is the equation is how athletic the player is, how well he's going to take to coaching. I think Mitchell was, by all accounts, a guy on both sides of that. In terms of his athleticism, he's off the charts. We can measure that. We can see that. But just in terms of his ability to take coaching, has gone well as well. So, I think it's a match made in heaven. He's also a guy I would have really liked to have seen at 16 and even at 17. But we won't go back to that
one. We're still waiting about a minute 30 left for the Brewers to make their selection. I would love to see it be Garrett Mitchell, just one of those alluring 80 speed guys with potential 50 hit. And those. If you got speed and you can get on base, you got my attention essentially. And of course, the Brewers. I
think the Brewers should take Cavalli.
Why is that?
There's lack of pitching depth in their system is alarming.
There's lack of everything depth in their system.
Yeah, and I think Cavalli, could be a potential fast mover. I just think he's the fit for them, and Cardinals could use Cavalli as well. I think they're kind of in the same wavelength. The Houston connection with both squads. I think they think similarly, the way they do things as Indians and the Rays. I think they're similar in the way they draft, and Cavalli is a logical pick for me for Milwaukee here. Mitchell or Cavalli, I think they can't hate either one.
Let's show, as I ask you, Diego, let's show our best available pitchers on the screen. You're going to see Jared Kelly, Kate Cavalli, Cole Wilcox, Nick Bitsko, and JT. It's Ginn, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ginn.
Diego, if you're the Brewers GM, who are you taking right now?
So if you're taking an arm, well, okay, overall player, I'm taking Garrett Mitchell. I think that toolsy combination, they figure it out. He'll be a star in Milwaukee. But if you're going from an arm standpoint, I kind of want to say Nick Bitsko because he's definitely, to me, the best arm available. I think what they'll do if they go arm will be Cade Cavalli, but ultimately Mitchell's the pick here for me.
Okay, and the pick is in for the Brewers, so likely have to wait. We're not seeing any reports just yet on who their pick is, but so we'll wait just a little bit longer.
So I actually have a question for you guys. I did this Brewers top 30 last year for Prospects Live, and it was absolutely brutal. So do you think that whoever gets drafted here immediately becomes their number one prospect, or is it still Bryce Terang?
I think it's whoever gets drafted.
I think if it's Cavalli or Mitchell, I think they're number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Bitsko would be number one. Just looking at who's available. Justin Lang would probably even be number one if he's a little bit farther down the board. JT Ginn, that's interesting debate. Ginn or
I think I'd take Terang.
Terang, yeah.
I'm not a big JT Ginn guy though, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that they're the 30th ranked system. I don't think that's controversial.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's brutal writing that system up.
But Garrett Mitchell's probably the pick if I had to guess. And it is Garrett Mitchell. It is Garrett Mitchell. Can confirm. So hopefully he can get some more lift. He's got the plus speed. He's got the plus raw power. He just hits the ball on the ground too much. If somebody's going to fix him, it's going to be Milwaukee, I think. It's a solid bet. That dynamic type player can play center field in that ballpark. I love the fit. As a Cardinals fan, I don't love the fit, but as a fan of Garrett Mitchell and his game, and I think he's going to fit very well with the Brewers. And he's the kind of guy that could hit anywhere in the lineup. He's got power. He's got speed. Puts the bat on the ball. And again, the only question mark is the launch angle stuff. And if it's not the Astros, I trust the Brewers to fix that. So kind of based off what we all said earlier. So I like this pick. And for fantasy, it might be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's what were you saying, Diego?
I think from like a tools and talent, like pure tools, pure talent standpoint, this is probably top 5 tools and talent guy in the class. Really, the only thing we wanted to see from him this year at UCLA was tapping into that raw power that he'll show off in batting practice. So if Milwaukee does what they've done with some other guys before him, make a launch angle adjustment, he's going to launch some baseballs in Miller Park. So there's a ton of upside with this pick here.
All right, we're gonna. I'm asking one last question, Diego. Here, favorite and least favorite picks thus far before we say goodbye to you, my friend.
Well, least favorite is definitely Nick York to the Boston Red Sox. Sorry, Ralph. And outside of Hassel, because obviously I'm a Padres fan, I'll go. My favorite pick is probably Mick Abel to the Phillies, just because I personally think he's top 7, top 8 guy too. And I just think he's gonna be really good. And him dropping to 15 was awesome for Philadelphia. So, and from like a feeler pick, definitely Ed Howard to the Cubs too, because that's just awesome.
Awesome. All right, my friend. Appreciate you, Diego, hopping on. Hope you enjoy the draft. I hope it gets even crazier than what's been so far.
Thanks. See you guys.
All right. Next up, we have Ray Butler. He needs no introduction of prospects.
Right on time for the Cardinals pick.
Ray, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, Ralph, congratulations, man. Huge pick.
Congratulations on becoming a meme. I'm gonna replace like any shocked meme now. It's just gonna be that clip.
If we would have let you go, if we would have let you go a little longer, you would have replaced Crying Jordan. But we had to stop.
So, when that pick scrolled across MLB Network, I said, "Oh shit!" And my wife is in the bathroom, and she's like, "Is everything okay?" Like, not for Ralph. Not for Ralph.
Did they at least use our video?
Jeez. We're waiting on the Cardinals. Their pick is in. Matt, are you nervous?
Cavalli or Bitsko, either one of those two, I'm good.
I hear it's not Soderstrom, so you might have Bitsko coming, bud.
The only downside with Bitsko is he's going to probably cost you your draft. He's probably going to cost you upwards of $4 or $5 million.
You got a lot of picks.
Cardinals have proven that they will pay up for guys. Gorman, in particular, in recent history, they take the best guy on their board. I want them to dip into this deep prep pool and backfill it with college arms, and hopefully that's what they do.
I know. Dax Fulton has been connected at pick 30, but to me, if the Orioles underslotted Kerstad to the extent that they did, I think they buy down Bitsko to 30. That's just my opinion.
I think that's their plan, but there are teams, the Cardinals, the Dodgers, that will and have proven that they will pay for players.
For sure. I can't wait for the Cardinals to screw this pickup. We all know it's coming.
I don't think they will, man. I like Flores' drafts the last couple of years. I mean, you can't argue with Nolan Gorman and Zach Thompson. I mean, those are two solid picks. I like Thompson better than most.
Everybody around this area, I think I'd be happy with everybody except Jared Kelly, just because I'm not a Jared Kelly guy. But
Jordan Walker. Cardinals are taking Jordan Walker from what I was told.
Jordan Walker, huh?
I don't like that.
I mean, like, I'll put it this way. I think Walker.
Wow.
I wanted Walker to go to school. If it's
so did I.
Walker, I wanted Walker to go to Duke. Walker needs to work on his hit tool. It's bad. Folks that have scouted Walker, everybody thinks he's a great kid. Everyone thinks he's a really smart kid. Everyone thinks there's unbelievable power. There are major questions on the hit tool. Like I've heard,
my
issue is, guys.
Wait, let me stop you real quick, Matt. Let's just. I want to make it official real quick. Let's fly the pick as in graphic. It is Jordan Walker for St. Louis Cardinals. What's your issue? You were saying, Matt.
The organization doesn't have much. Number one, track record with these guys, but the little track record it does have, Malcolm Nunez went backwards, being not the same archetype, but talking questionable hit tool with big power. John Torres scuffled this year with their kind of making adjustments on the fly. Trajan Fletcher didn't have a great. I understand you don't pay attention to the stats with that kind of guy. Walker's going to be the type of guy where you're not going to want to follow the numbers a lot of the stats, because Cardinals play in a lot of pitcher-heavy ballparks in the lower minors, so the power numbers aren't going to show through. And I just don't think the bat can handle pro pitching right now, on a bat-to-ball basis. And I hope I'm wrong. And again, we have notes in here. I'm not going to say it because I don't know if I can, but I have someone in our chat here is backing me up, and I'm not very optimistic about it, because that swing I'm just looking at right now, I'm not a big fan. Yes, the power's there, but I mean, that's the easiest thing to find right now.
Let me get your thoughts on Jordan Walker. I mean, someone who's got the power. Do you think the Cardinals have what it takes to mold this young man, or are you as maybe pessimistic as Matt over here?
Simply put, no, I don't. To me, they do better with prospects who have kind of present tools instead of tools that you have to project on. And I side with both Ralph and Matt. You really have to project the hit tool really, really well to get to a point where he's going to provide the value that you want out of a first round pick. So I'm kind of with Matt. I'm pretty disappointed.
I got a question for Matt Eddy. Bro, Foscue? You kind of wish you had Foscue right now?
I was thinking that was the same thing.
You know what's funny? I absolutely
disappointment in this first round, right?
I absolutely would rather have Foscue right now, because I think there's I want to word this carefully, but there's like of all the 21 players drafted, I think Jordan Walker has the highest chance of not reaching the major leagues of anyone in this group.
I mean,
would you agree to me or disagree on that? Because
he has bust capabilities. I mean, you can see the bust where it could happen quite easily. But aren't you excited, Matt, for people to hashtag Cardinals Devil Magic and just wish it all away?
No.
I just love messing with you.
No, it's all good, man. I just think, and then not to mention, I don't think he sticks at third either. So I think he's a first baseman, and there's concerns, and you don't draft for need. We all understand that. But Nolan Gorman is not going to be a Gold Glove winner at third base.
Nope.
He's not going to. He might be solid there, but I would bet, and again, I'm projecting 7-8 years down the road. A lot of things can happen. Nolan Gorman's going to finish his career either as a first baseman or a DH.
Where do you Ray? Where does
Jordan Walker's going to finish his career in the KBO?
where does Walker rank in the Cardinal system off the top of your head?
Oh, help me out here, Matt. Behind Gorman, behind
Ivan Herrera for me, behind Zach Thompson for me.
Right around that range.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weak system in general, so he's going to rank more highly than he would in almost every other system.
Yeah, they lack right-handed pitching depth in the organization. Bitsko was the textbook pick for me.
Carlson, Gorman, Liberatore, Herrera, Thompson were the top 5.
I forgot about Carlson. Yes, he's not cracking that list.
Okay, so Nisner, Montero, Junior Fernandez, Genesis Cabrera.
I'll take him over all those guys. I think.
Yeah, me too.
So 6.
Yeah, right in there.
Okay. We are awaiting the Nationals pick. It is in.
Who's the Scott Boras client that's on the board? Because that's who's
got to be Wilcox. I'm guessing Wilcox here.
Yeah, kind of Wilcox against the field, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do the Nationals have any big needs, or is it just really, just take the Boras client and
take the board? I mean, for them, they need the best player.
Take Cade Cavalli.
Yeah, I mean, Cavalli's still on the board.
Makes sense. I just don't know how much
pay up.
With
Are they going to pay up for Bitsko, which Cardinals should have done, instead of pay up for Walker?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be Wilcox.
Because back to the Walker discussion, he's going to Duke, man. That's expensive to buy out of that too. So this might be their draft. I mean, by all intent, it's going to cost them $3-4 million. So
what I'll be really interested in is if Cleveland goes on the board and Cavalli is still available. I'll be really interested to see, because I feel like a lot of the industry has kind of narrowed in on Tanner Burns at that pick. But if Cavalli is still there at 23, it'll be interesting to see how an organization that does so well with pitching.
Hearing Cavalli here now.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I mean, this is someone who's been hanging
picked
around
already.
Let's fly the graphic real quick. We're gonna make this official. Washington Nationals selecting right-hander Cade Cavalli. Ray, you're the guest of honor here right now. I'll give you first crack at this as we watch some Cade Cavalli video. This is someone who's, by the last few guests have said, maybe he should not be here this late. So is this a steal for the Nats?
Really a physical pitcher. You look at him, he's kind of one of the more physical specimens within this pitching class in the entire draft. He kind of reminds me just physically of a Matt Manning. I really hope, and I wrote this in my first-year player draft list, I really hope he begins to lean more on a kind of a more vertical 12-6 curveball. He didn't throw it too much this season, but I think with the arm slot, it would really help with kind of a vertical tumble. He kind of leaned more on a slider, and, of course, you need that in your repertoire as well. But there's a whole lot to like. You can project him well physically. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's had some health issues, yes? Somebody?
Yes.
Shoulder, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. But I mean, to piggyback on what you said, I love the delivery and I love the stuff.
Yeah.
There's some buzz on him going in the top 10 for a little bit. And to get him at 22 is pretty impressive stuff.
The Nationals was the very last list we published of our top 30s. Came out about 3 weeks ago.
He's number one after Keyboom.
So number 2.
Well, Keyboom's got what? As soon as they play a handful of games,
yeah. So you think Cavalli over Jackson Rutledge or Luis Garcia?
Oh, I forgot about Rutledge.
For me, yes.
That's the ultimate. How do you like your food served? Because that's either a electric arm like with some variability in Rutledge, or a kind of safer, more polished piece in Cavalli. You know what I'm saying? That's just depends on your flavor there, but I'll go Cavalli over Rutledge, but it's close.
I'll be interested to see if the Nationals can get a little bit more out of Cavalli's extension. It's pretty obvious he's athletic. He's really big frame, but I think, he moves well for his size, but he doesn't extend well. And I think that could, if nothing else, it will increase the perceived velocity of a fastball that's already really good. So it'll just kind of be interesting to see the direction the Nationals go.
I want to ask you, Ray, as we wait for the Indians to make this pick, just over 2 minutes on the clock. What's been your favorite and least favorite draft pick so far?
I mean, in a vacuum, I don't like Kerstad at 2. I know what that opens up later in the draft, but it's second overall. I'm just not overly high on Kerstad. I wish, I'm just not a gigantic fan of the upper body mechanics in his swing. I also not a gigantic fan of Patrick Bailey in San Francisco. He wasn't my top ranked catcher. I know, obviously, everyone knows you don't draft for need, but you think that Joey Bart is probably that guy for the next decade in San Francisco. And then you take a less talented catcher inside the top 20 in the first round. It didn't make too much sense to me. And then, of course, Boston taking York I think that'll be the surprise of the first round amongst people who know about it. Hey, Ralph.
He's back. I mean, Ralph's back.
You said York's name. I'm like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Favorites, I really like Pete Crow Armstrong. I think he's going to compete for Gold Gloves in center field. And, I think it really vibes well with the fact that, the Mets are kind of trying to get over the loss of a Jared Kalenic. And, Pete Crow Armstrong can be that guy. I don't know, from a fantasy standpoint. Ooh, Indians go Carson Tucker, 23rd overall.
That's what's going on. Tucker.
They like the younger players in the draft class, and this fits that MO right real good here.
Yeah, opens up some money for them as well for their CPA pick at 36. So
I have a different Cleveland pick, Cole Wilcox.
MLB Network is showing Carson Tucker here.
Yeah,
I've heard Tucker from 3 sources too.
Okay, no, you're right. They have backtracked. It is Carson Tucker.
So let's roll that pick, make it official. It is Carson Tucker for the Cleveland Indians. And as I put up some video, Ray, again, I'll come to you. Carson Tucker, maybe this was, I remember the Yankees were linked to him, but this is someone who was climbing up draft boards little by little. Is this around where you expected him, or was this something maybe a little bit too early?
Leading up to the draft, there was a whole lot of smoke that he could have even been connected with inside the top 15. From a present skill standpoint, I'm not sure that he belongs here. I think you can project it really well. There's really good makeup. I think he sticks defensively at shortstop, which of course is a premium position. I do think he's going to have to make some adjustments to unlock the extent of his power. But there are kind of, some ball of clay traits here that you can really work with. And, I guess it's just kind of, we have to trust Cleveland to get the most out of him. And of course, as Ralph said, it opens up some options for them later in the draft.
Younger brother of Pirates shortstop Cole Tucker. Is he just another quintessential hit first Cleveland Indians guy like Brian Rocchio? And
he fits in with a lot of the international guys. Yeah, he's like kind of the same ilk. I agree with that. Strong bat to ball, good feel for the game itself. This is an underslot deal, to be clear. Cleveland has more picks coming later. And they'll use that leverage, and I don't know where they'll go with it, but they'll go prep again and grab somebody big. Tucker was rumored Diamondbacks for a while, correct?
Yeah, he was rumored Diamondbacks. I heard him rumored actually as high as 14.
Ben Chase is here telling us Minnesota was interested as well. So
he's a guy that rose a lot this spring. There's present tools there. I think physically he projects pretty well. He had added some good weight. And we know that he's one of these guys that has some pedigree just simply due to his brother and everything else. He's a plus runner. Sometimes can even push that even higher. And I think the big thing with him, the big question was just sort of being able to tap into a little bit more authority in terms of, the contact that he makes. And that was coming a little bit in the spring. So, and he's a guy that was aggressive about letting teams know that he wanted to go pro. This sort of throws things in flux for the Yankees, and I'm wondering if Tanner Burns drops down to them now at 28.
Ooh, maybe. So Kyler the God mocked Tanner Burns to the Yankees in our little mock.
Yeah, he's a former Yankees pick.
Yep. Well, so let's show the last 5 picks on the board real quick, just to recap. At 20, Brewers take Garrett Mitchell, maybe my favorite pick of the last 5 here. 21, Cardinals, Jordan Walker. 22, Nats, Kate Cavalli. And we just saw 23, the Indians taking Carson Tucker. Yeah, like I said, Garrett Mitchell's maybe the one that sticks out to me as maybe the best fit, the one I'm most excited about from that small group.
Cavalli and Washington's up there too.
Ray, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of fantasy questions while you're on here. Your top 3 fantasy players outside of the top 5 players selected today. So, I don't want Torkelson. I don't want Meier, Martin. Besides those guys,
outside of the top 5.
Yeah.
Position factoring in offensive environment, probably Zach Veen, then Nick Gonzalez. Lacey was a top 5, so he doesn't count. Emerson Hancock, Garrett Mitchell, and Mick Abel.
Yep, that's right in line with Zach Veen, man. Zach Veen is gonna fly up dynasty boards right now, man. That's, I mean, the prep aspect is gonna maybe tamper things a little bit. You know, got to be a little patient, and of course, you know, hashtag Rockies prospects. But that's gonna be fun for sure.
I know y'all have been incredibly busy and on here, but other than the York pick, Veen has been the talk on Twitter as far as what he'll do in first-year player draft classes because of who he was picked by.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Be fun to.
Him and Mitchell are movers for me in fantasy. By the way, I'm hearing that Bitsko is the pick here.
Ooh,
the rich get richer, man.
The Rays.
Yep, that's the next pick.
It doesn't even matter who the Rays.
Sorry, man, my bad.
I'm messing with it.
No, I got
with the Rays is like.
I got Jordan Walker on my brain.
So is Soderstrom the pick that's getting pulled down to
that could work. I never thought about that. I didn't think about that.
Man, that'd be something.
What for
Baltimore?
Yeah, he's the guy that's getting bonus bumped down to 30.
Man, I wish my team drafts more like the Rays and the Dodgers do. Bitsko is if that's the pick is.
So is Soderstrom just as worth it as Bitsko for the Orioles to cover slot?
Bitsko is worth more, I think, but
I don't know. I mean, like I think that you can make a case that Soderstrom could project as a legitimate 60 hit, 60 power guy. You know, at third base, potentially as a corner outfielder. There were people that thought this guy was a top 3 to 4 prep bat in the class. And it wasn't a crazy opinion as of like 5 hours ago. So
let's fly the graphic real quick before we
Tampa takes Bitsko.
Bitsko pick is officially in. Tampa Bay Rays with Nick Bitsko, the first pick of the 2020 draft.
Fantastic pick.
In my opinion.
So you're labeling it right now, best pick of the draft for you.
Yeah, I think number 24 for the Rays to be able to pull Bitsko down here, knowing that they still have a competitive balance pick. Wow, I mean, they could land two really talented players here. They could land a college arm. They could land one of the college bats. They can go so many different directions now. You look at what their system is, the depth that they have at the top, the absolute like talent, top end talent they have at the top. And now they're adding a guy that I think you can argue on talent, and we didn't see him much this spring. This is potentially a guy that could be right there with Abel for the top prep guy in the class. We look back in even a year from now.
This is someone who
junior.
If you remember, this was the player that reclassified to the 2020 draft, so he's now one of the youngest players in the 2020 draft. Ray, Bitsko, are you as in love with him as maybe the general consensus? I mean, it was all Orioles it was for the Orioles to lose, and now the Rays swoop in. Are you as excited as everyone else is about Bitsko?
Yeah, I am. It's a really, really good fit. Organizational biases aside, I think I still have Abel ahead, but I am extremely excited to see what Tampa Bay can do with Bitsko. And on the flip side of that coin, if you assume that the Orioles are now trying to buy Soderstrom down to 30th, that means that they might lean on some college pitching later on in the draft, some guys that they like, because there are some guys you can find later that have the vertical movement in the fastball that they really, really cherish. So it'll be interesting to see where they go after 30th now.
Gotcha. All right, Ray. I'll leave you one last question. You said, I think you already answered. You said your favorite pick was who again?
Pete Carl Armstrong, Mick Abel, Zach Veen, and Bryce. I like Bryce Jarvis to the Diamondbacks. I think it's a really good organizational fit. He has some traits that are similar to like a Zach Gallen. And then Garrett Mitchell to the Brewers is another one I love.
Gotcha. You need, again, no introduction, but please do tell the fans what you've been working on and what they can look forward to for post-draft content over at Prospects 365.
Yeah, our Mason McRae later tonight is posting. He's kind of ranking the first-round picks, including the Comp A round, 1 to 37. We're ranking them all. Our Ian Smith is kind of he'll publish a fantasy-focused kind of his favorite fits of the first round, some things like that. Of course, I'm running our draft tracker. I'll be doing that for the rest of tonight and tomorrow. Been hitting it hard.
Awesome.
Y'all are having a great show. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks so much,
man.
Ray.
Appreciate it,
Well,
Ray.
hey, thanks for dropping on, my friend. Take care.
Yes, sir.
You're the man, Ray.
All right, next on, as we get the Braves on the clock, it is our own Ben Chase. What's going on, Ben?
Hey guys, I figured Eddie would like this cap, so I figured I'd wear that right away, just so you could enjoy the Max Meier.
Yeah, a little Max Meier love. I'm digging it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna dig into Max Meier. I'm gonna be honest. I did a ton of research on Lacy and on Martin, and Max Meier. I was well aware of his reputation, but I never really dove in deep. But as soon as we hop off, man, I'm gonna be all over Max Meier, and you can take that however you want. So we got the Braves on the clock. 30 seconds. Do we have any indications as to where they're leaning here?
well, it sounds like they're good. I guess the word I had gotten is they were going to go off the board as far or farther than the Red Sox. Now some of the word that we're getting is maybe that it's going to be Jared Schuster of Wake Forest. If that's the guy, that's not anywhere near as far off the board as York, but it's still farther off the board than maybe we thought. That they would go here at 43. There was a lot of smoke about a prep arm for the last couple of weeks, especially the last week leading up to the draft. So to go to Schuster would be a really solid choice. And frankly, Schuster from Jared Lang is really a similar profile as far as a guy who's jumped up a bunch in the last year, as far as their profile.
Let's flash our best players available on the board right now and see what are some options Atlanta can take advantage of. Their pick is in, so we'll wait for confirmation. But Jared Kelly, Cole Wilcox, Soderstrom, JT Ginn, Slade Ciccone. Some of the names, Schuster not among them, but Atlanta should be announcing pretty soon.
I think it's funny they would go Schuster over Ciccone or McMahon, but
Chaconi's interesting to be on the board. Kind of overlooked arm, but he's.
You know, frankly, there's a lot of guys on the board here that I'm really surprised they're not going. To be fully honest, and especially guys that really fit their system. But one of the things to consider here is that the Braves have the third least amount of money in the entire draft. So they may have something here where they know they've got a guy that they really like. They don't get to pick again until the third. He's not going to be there in the third. Let's get him now. We know that this is a guy, another lefty. They just traded away Joey Wentz last summer, which was kind of their other lefty behind some of the other guys that they had as far as more of a controllable, middle of the rotation type of guy. Whereas a guy like Kyle Muller might be more of your real, could be a number two, could be a bullpen guy type of lefty.
Let me pause you for a second there, Ben. I wanted to fly in the graphic, make it official. The Atlanta Braves have selected Jared Schuster with their first selection of the 2020 draft. So a quick reaction from you, Ben, before I turn it over to Matt and Ralph for theirs. Yay or nay?
It's not the guy I'd want, to be fully honest, as a Braves fan. There's a lot of names that have been talked here. I've really liked a lot of the ideas of guys like, frankly, Majewski. That was a guy who I really thought would work really well in the Brave system. And but Schuster is a lefty he's really come up in the last year. He had a really nice cape from all I've heard, and Ralph could definitely speak more to that. But certainly he's a guy who's really come up a lot in his velocity and things like that. He's, the video I've seen of him, it's a solid delivery. It's something, there's a lot here to like. It's just, there's a lot there also that, boy, there's other guys that I probably would have preferred.
Ralph, obviously, Ben not in love. he's in your boat with York and Matt's boat with Jordan Walker. How do you see Schuster?
Dude, honestly, I probably would have been happy with Schuster at 17 in New York. For me, you know, Machinsky was a guy that was ahead of Schuster coming out of the summer. You know, Schuster's velocity gains sort of came in the fall. But I think when you look at the player that Schuster is, he's got better command and control than Machinsky does. Machinsky has nasty stuff, but I'm not so sure he reins all that in. Schuster's a guy that's very serious. He takes well the coaching. I think if you just look from a mechanic standpoint, he has the best arm stroke in the draft, incredibly efficient, not a lot of wasted movement there. He's a guy that I think, you know, stays relatively healthy because he is a pretty good athlete. And, you know, the velo was sitting 94 to 96 in his late starts, and he was dominating pitch for pitch against Louisville. The other part of it is that changeup is a plus pitch, pushing double plus. The slider's gotten better. Calls it a curve, but I think it's more of a slider just based on the movement and everything else. But I like Schuster. I don't think it's a bad pick. You know, if you think this guy projects out to be a left-handed starter long-term that holds all these gains, and you feel there's even some area for improvement just simply because of how short the track record is of him really pushing the way he has, you bet on it. And I think, you know, he's got as much of a track record as Machinsky does, and he looked a lot better in the spring. The command
But I will say,
works both sides, play better. So I don't think it's a bad pick. You know, they like their Boston guys too. You know, grew up about 15, 20 minutes away from Sean Newcomb.
What I will say is I heard him on a podcast, Schuster, this is, and talking about and he was discussing what he had learned in Wake regarding evaluating his own pitching and really working with analytics and all that good stuff. The Braves have really taken to that within their system. Anthopoulos hired off a number of guys away from Houston and from other places, and that's really been something they put into their development system in the last couple of years. So that could be a very big part of how this fits into their draft and development.
Ben, you did our top 30 for our Braves. It was the very first top 30 we did.
Yep.
So to refresh your memory here, Pat Shea, Ian Anderson, Drew Waters, Kyle Wright, Kyle Muller, William Contreras, Bryce Wilson are the first 7 names. Do you see Jared Schuster breaking that top 7, or do you got to go even deeper?
You probably have to go deeper.
So
But
Shea Langeliers, Braden Shoemake, Jaciel De La Cruz was the next 3. Do you think he's below them or in there now?
I'd say you're talking in that group, that the De La Cruz group there for sure. I'd say, and definitely, you're definitely talking. You get up into, you know, Shoemake. You're definitely talking Langeliers. I like Langeliers, so that's definitely a bias, a Ben bias right there that I might have issue ranking Langeliers.
Gotcha.
You know, Langeliers versus Schuster there, but part of that is you're going to lose a number of those guys the second they start playing because they're going to lose eligibility. So
we'll pause you here. Oakland A's have made the selection. Let's run that graphic. It is the catcher Tyler Soderstrom. Guys, so it seems this is not going to be an Orioles get. I think what everyone's wondering is who the Orioles are going to grab at 30. That's going to make the Heston Kjerstad guy pick worth it at 2. Ralph, initial reactions on Soderstrom here.
I didn't expect to see this pick here, but I have to be honest. I think this is about as good of a pick as I could have imagined or dreamed that Oakland was going to make.
Joe Burrow's already been drafted. So.
I think they're doing a cartwheel getting this guy here. He was a rumor to go across the bay to the hoity-toity San Francisco and their fancy ballpark with the working bathrooms. But he lands in Oakland, man, with a better an organization that's had more success. And they've had they've had a rough go of it in the draft the last few years, even outside of the Kyler Murray thing. Austin Beck still hasn't worked out. Austin, if you're watching, you can tweet at me later. But in reality, I think I think Soderstrom is really pushing for the top of that system.
I think the question mark with Soderstrom is where he ends up on defensively. It's probably third base, right? Maybe corner outfield, maybe catcher if they maybe catcher if things develop the way we think they're going to. But I mean, you alluded to it earlier. I think you're more optimistic on the hit tool than I am, but I think you said 60 hit, 60 power. I'm more 50 hit, 60 power. But either way, for Oakland to pay up for a prep bat that slid, I'm kind of surprised because it means they got to pay up a little bit for him. It's going to cost them a few $1 million, but I love the swing. It's one of them, simple. He's got a little bit of a load I don't like, but I mean, you can shorten him up. He's a big, strong kid, but
Tyler Jennings on our stream. Serious steal here. Love that bat. Yeah, I mean, this is right up there with Nick Bitsko, someone who's fallen and the team is appropriately taking advantage at the right time. Let's look at our last 5 picks here to kind of catch up on the action here. So again, 23 Carson Tucker with the Indians, 24 Nick Bitsko with the Rays, 25 Jared Schuster with the Braves, and just now 26 Tyler Soderstrom with the A's. So the Twins are on the clock. They have their pick in, so we'll wait to see who they pick. But Ben, real quick, if you were the Twins GM, who would you want to take right here?
Frankly, arm. They've done really, really well developing arms. They have a good stable of bats coming. They need to keep building up that arm.
So we are getting some word.
And of course, they're not going to go my way. So
we'll fly the pick.
I mocked that like a week ago. All right, there you go. That was a really good guess on my part. I feel good about that. All right.
But I thought he was supposed to be a Ranger by now, Ralph. Come on.
Well, that's what I heard this morning. I think I had Wells here, which I still think would be a better pick than Sabato. No knock on Sabato, but there are some odd picks that are going on right now. Based on some of the stuff I've seen firsthand, read, I'm a little shocked by some of these picks. Even the Schuster one, I just feel like as much as I like Jared Schuster and are trying to justify it, I feel like there are probably better options. And I feel the same way with this pick. I even think if you're going to go with this particular style of player, there was a better version. I probably would have gone Swinney at 25, and I think I probably would have gone Wells here.
I would have taken Cole Wilcox at 25.
But Sabato seems like such a Twins player. They love college performers. They love
home runs now. I mean, it's power.
Yeah, and replacement here.
Target field plays well to right-handed power, and so I mean, Sabato's a good guy as far as that goes, especially to right-handed pull. So, that's a profile he does fit. The question is going to be, Miguel Sano can't play anywhere else really now than first base or DH. Obviously, Cruz is going to retire soon. You got Kirilloff coming up, who's going to be a first baseman. Pretty soon you're going to have a whole lot of first base DH types. With Rooker and all these guys, where are they going to go? So
it's like a true outcome kind of bad for Sabato.
Well, Matt, give me some statistical numbers here.
Sabato, oh man, he's got more power than anyone in the draft. I would say maybe even Torkelson as far as raw power and strength, but I just don't see. I put a 280 average on Torkelson. I might go 240, 250 on Sabato just because I think there's a lot of swing and miss here. The walk rates, I want to see if they transfer. That's always a question to see how walk rates go from the amateurs to professionals. Way different game. But big exit velocity numbers and big, launch angle numbers according to what Eccentric Laddie wrote in his post. And I'm good with it, I guess. I mean, the Twins seem to find something with a lot of their power bats, and they kind of leaned into their strength and went hitting, which I kind of think if you can develop this, go a different route because you can get this, but they turned into it instead of turned against it. So it is what it is.
Excellent. All right, Ben. Hey, appreciate you hanging around, my friend.
Thanks, Ben.
Don't beat yourself up over Jared Schuster too much. But, take care, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, sounds good, guys.
All right, let's bring in Brian Sakowski.
There he is.
Mr. Brian, what's going on, friend?
How are we doing, boys? We've been enjoying ourselves here.
How much draft dope are you on right now?
Man, we've already ate 10 years. Matt and I both had a heartbreak.
Yeah.
I got one back though. I feel like I took an L there at 10, although I can actually defend it. I'm told that Ed Howard was who they called first, and he said no to the number, so they moved to Detmers. I'm
Okay.
told. I'm told that I may have technically had it, but we'll still call that as an L.
Real quick. I don't want to too long. What's your thoughts on Jordan Walker? Tell me I'm an idiot.
Dude, it's pretty monstrous upside. You know, he's got to refine the hit tool a little bit.
Yeah.
The length of his levers causes some problems right
Yep.
now, and as he gets stronger, we'll hope that is, you know, removed a little bit. But I mean, he's athletic. He's going to have monstrous juice. He's got the arm strength to play third or right field if necessary. It's like I'm trying to think of a good comp. It's like a more refined Reese Hines, but still pretty raw in the hit tool. There's some similarities there.
And Brian, I just want to, I don't know if that's your echo, maybe by any chance. If you have an echo on your end, I want to make sure to.
I don't hear anything.
I'm not hearing anything.
I don't hear it either, man.
Okay. All right. No worries then. I'll just live with it in my head and
I apologize to the man right now.
All right. So let me see. When we last left you, it was, I think, right after Royals, I think, right? So what's been your favorite and least favorite pick since you last came on, Brian?
I mean, I love Bitsko at 24.
Yeah, that's.
You know, I like they just said, like, I like teams that say, you know what, like, you know, I'm not going to swear here, but, you know, like, F it, let's take the best dude here. You know, it's signability, this, that, the other thing, and you know, the lack of the track record. It's like, I think that they had him number one on their board when their pick came up, and they were like, yeah, this is literally best player available. We're going to take him and sign him. So, yeah, I love that. Loved it.
Gotcha. So we're just receiving word on the Yankees pick. It looks like let's fly that pick.
I don't have anything on it.
Austin Wells.
All right. I think he's a two-time Yankees draft pick as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Analytical darlings are picking the guys that we like. Yankees, Rays.
Yep. But I think Wells was, I think, a previous Yankees draft pick, if I'm not mistaken, right, Brian?
You know what was he announced as?
Catcher.
Catcher? Yeah, okay. I mean, hey.
One can dream. I mean,
the arm is the issue with him. I mean, that's really the big thing that I don't even know with robo-umps and, you know.
That's not going to help him, right?
All the fires that we throw on catchers. I'm not sure that necessarily sticks. But I think he's a guy that, you know, he could be a left fielder in New York for a long time. Hit a lot of bombs over that fence, too. His swing is, like, perfect for Yankee Stadium.
It's like a Kyle Schwarber with a hit tool.
Yeah, more athletic, man. He's not a fatty, you know.
Well, yeah, you're right.
he's not Jugs Life. He's not Jugs Life across the chest like like Twinkie Tupac, Kyle Schwarber, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Schwarber's gonna beat my ass after the show, I think.
He's gonna come find you, but the big exit velocities for Wells, it's just like you said, man. It's again the same kind of questions. Where do you walk rate?
Where do you guys sit on the Yankees' ability to develop bats? Because we know they're pretty damn good with arms, especially righties. But when it comes to bats, they've got a kind of a sketchy track record. Brian, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, and again, like I say this as a guy who spends 99.9% of his time focusing on the amateur side, so I don't want to pretend like I'm some pro ball expert because I'm not. But like, you know, it feels like to develop guys like Judge, who had notable hit tool issues coming out of college, and even Andujar and even Gary Sanchez once he got there, like to develop those guys into real big league bats, like impact big league bats. Like I think they're doing something. You know, there may be more evidence to the contrary that I'm just not aware of, but yeah, I mean, it's when it comes to player dev, whether it's pitching or hitting, like I have the Yankees in that upper crust, at least in my opinion.
Ralph, where do you sit on the conversation of maybe the Yankees' ability to develop someone like Wells to his proper ceiling?
I don't think it's a development issue. I think that the Yankees have had somewhat of a sketchy track record with maybe some of the picks that they've made. You know, there's some guys that, you know, maybe for, you know, whatever reason, you know, don't develop. And I think a lot of it was really just identifying talent and guys that signed, you know. There's been a handful of sort of prep bats that they've drafted that haven't turned out to be much of anything. I know Blake Rutherford obviously is one, but I don't think that's a huge stain on them. There were some questions there to begin with, and he's certainly not written off, but it ended up getting traded to a worse player development organization, particularly for prep players. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with Brian in the sense that they've brought some pretty good hitters up through their system, and you're not going to hit 100% of the time. They have a nice core that's home baked, and the other side of it is they've done a good job of sort of identifying some outside guys and bringing those guys into the fold and getting more out of them, whether that's ballpark related or not. Guys like Voit, guys like Touchman. I mean, they've been better players. Mike Ford, been better players in the Yankees organization. Some of that could be ballpark. I think some of it has to do with player dev, and I think particularly high, player dev at the major league level, and particularly in the upper minors. I think the Yankees, once they get guys there, they typically can get a fair bit out of them. So,
well put.
With arms, they've got a lot of arms that haven't necessarily come to fruition.
Well put and well reasoned. Let's fly the graphic. We do have the Dodgers pick in. It is Louisville right-hander Bobby Miller.
Wow.
I mean, guys, does it even matter who the Dodgers take because they're going to become good anyways?
We're going to love it anyways, right? I mean,
you almost start shifting your perceptions. Like, oh, Bobby Miller, he was really good. I always liked him, right? So it was Brian, guest of honor. I'll start with you. Your first take on Bobby Miller to the Dodgers here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really a better org for him to go to. I think this is like a slam dunk. Like, this dude's going to be a number 2 starter now because the Dodgers took him. It's a really, really good athlete. He's obviously got fantastic size. He's a guy who didn't throw a lot of strikes in high school. Like, I actually thought he was more of a left-handed hitting power bat. Whoops. Went to Louisville, got in with Roger Williams, who does a fantastic job there as their pitching coach, really developed the command, really kind of toned down the delivery. And now throws a lot of strikes at 6'5". As I said, he's a really good athlete. He's up to 99, 100 at times. It's a plus slider. He's got 4 pitches. I mean, it's with the Dodgers developmental track record and their staff and the player dev system. It's slam dunk. If we didn't have Bitsko there earlier, I think we would have had Miller. I think we've had him there a couple times throughout the process. It just makes a lot of sense.
And that does wrap up the first round for the MLB draft. Remember, the Houston Astros do not get a pick. They decided to bang some trash cans, and that's what cost them. So we are now on the clock for the Orioles on the competitive balance round A pick. But they're not on the clock yet. They're getting set. Ralph, still on Bobby Miller. Any disagreement with Brian on just how great of a fit that this is for Los Angeles?
No, I think you'd heard Miller rumored here. I think if there's anything that sort of needs to be fixed with Miller at this point, it's probably arm stroke, shorten at that a little bit, but it didn't hurt him early this spring. I mean, he came out. He's a guy that showed an uptick in stuff across the board. Fastball's good. I think Brian hit the nail on the head. He's a really athletic guy. I think you see that translates in this lower half into his mechanics, whenever you watch him pitch. And I think the Dodgers, they're biomechanics nuts. They probably appreciated, sort of the fluidity of his movements and felt as though, maybe there's some inefficiencies that they could potentially maximize. So, not a huge shock, I think it's probably a fit. And like I said, a guy that had been rumored to the Dodgers. So now we're on to 30, man, and probably the most interesting pick in the draft right now.
Yeah. So let's shift gears there. I'm an Orioles fan. I'm a Marlins fan, but let's say hypothetically, I'm an Orioles fan right now. I forewent Asa Lacy and Austin Martin for this pick, essentially. What is going to make this worth it? We saw Soderstrom go. He was maybe someone we were talking about. We saw Bitsko go. He was someone we were talking about. What makes it worth it now? Matt, I'll start with you, then go to Ralph, and then Brian.
I mean, I see who's rumored here with Dex Fulton, and you still think Bitsko was the original target for them to slide down. Fulton is a good secondary option. I mean, he's coming off Tommy John, so that needs to be noted. He might not miss any time with everything that's going on and in the world right now, but I love the athleticism for the lefty. If they go that route, I mean, Jared Kelly, I don't know if he's an option here. He could be a guy. I mean, I know he gets a little knocked for not having a breaking ball, but his changeup kind of is a breaking ball in a way with this kind of split action that he has to it.
And as you keep talking, let's put up our best players available to kind of see some of the names.
This is a big splat, and like you said, this is probably the most important pick in the draft because and Pittsburgh is going to have a similar pick next, where they kind of see who they kind of drive down a little bit, what prep guys get snagged here. Still plenty of good college arms on the board. I don't think we see a college arm here. I'm pretty certain this is going to be a prep player, and Fulton sounds good. Jared Kelly, one of those two arms could be a nice pairing and maybe justify Kjerstad going to 2.
Ralph, what's up with Cole Wilcox? Why is he not have a team yet?
Well, I think there's probably some question just in terms of the style of pitcher that he is. He's more of a ground ball guy, heavy two seam. He made improvements this year. Maybe this is the guy that they're pulling down bonus money wise. The other part of he's a draft eligible sophomore. He's got a little bit more leverage than other college players in the draft. I don't think it's a huge knock if he pulls out or doesn't get drafted and ends up, going 2021. But it might be somebody was meeting a number, and that's why he hasn't gotten drafted yet. I wonder if that's what's happening here, and Baltimore ends up going Wilcox. I haven't heard anything rumored there, but that's pretty interesting.
I can confirm that. I can confirm what's the last. Yeah, I see the Orioles beat writer on Twitter is saying Westberg.
Ooh, there we go. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Wilcox is one of those guys. If he got out of a certain range, we kind of all thought there was a chance he could go back to school. I don't know if that's still the case or not. If there's somebody waiting with the right dollars there or not, but should be interesting to watch.
And I'm gathering my assets here because let's fly the graphic for the Orioles. It is gonna be Jordan Westberg, number 30. All right, I'll ask it again of you this time, Brian. Was it worth Heston Kjerstad at 2?
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in Westberg as a hitter, then yeah, that was the question with him. Is he's loaded with tools. He's freakishly athletic. He's a guy who can stay at short potentially with big time raw pop. It was the hit tool concern that's pushing him down a little bit. If you think that guy's an average to above average hitter, then yeah, this is like potentially like a JJ Hardy type of shortstop. Like a better athlete, JJ Hardy. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like that tells me the Orioles believe in the bat if they're taking him here at 30. And if you do that, then yeah, you're looking at a guy who could be an above average regular.
The story hasn't been written yet either. They get another pick at 39. So
I was gonna say maybe they pull someone else there, right?
Right.
With I'm trying to see here with Jordan Westberg. Do the Orioles with this new regime under them and with last year's kind of improvement? Man. Yeah, maybe you see the video right there. With the new improvement of last year's, a lot of last year's prospects, like, are they now in a better shape to take someone who we identify that needs a swing change and confident to say, yeah, the Orioles can do this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, due to all the reading up on what the Astros did under the Lunau regime where Mike Elias was from, I mean, they pretty much brought that same style over to the Orioles for the good and the bad part, relying more on video scouting than some other traditional organizations do. Very, very tech savvy. All the equipment, all the bat sensors, they have all of that. And you made the Duquette Stone Age joke earlier, and that couldn't be more the truth. They go from the outhouse to the penthouse as far as scouting departments and the technology they're using. And I mean, you could say what you want about the personnel and how they, cut things to the bone sometimes in Houston, but it seems to be working with talent. But here's another pick coming in.
And yep.
So
let's fly the banner. Yep. Let's fly the banner. The Pittsburgh Pirates 31st pick. Majinski, Ralph, someone that you had some experience with seeing on the Cape. Immediate thoughts and reactions.
The game that didn't count on the Cape. The game where he got destroyed in like an inning and a half, and his ERA would have looked very different. Maybe his opinions are a little different from the folks that were sort of number scouting down the Cape. But, I like his fastball. I just don't like where Majinski throws it. I mean, more often than not, He likes to pitch on the outer part of the plate. Doesn't go inside often. He has that cutter that he will go inside with on the hands, particularly to right-handers. It's a nice pitch. I don't know if I put plus on it, but I think 55 is pretty even. He's got a few other secondaries. He's got a changeup will go to, a more traditional slider breaking ball. But the cutter I thought was a big development. It's something that he leaned in a little bit more on later on in the Cape, and he showed a lot more of it early on this season. But the command and control is an issue at times. I think that there's a split camp on Mlodzinski. I think he's got a lot of qualities and characteristics that, fit the starting pitcher profile. There's some other questions about, how much his stuff plays and really, really his sequencing. And I think the way he attacks batters, I'm just questionable on.
For the Pirates hired a new pitching coach, Oscar Marin. They replaced Ray Searage. Brian, does this bode well for someone like Mlodzinski? Are the new philosophies something that play up to Mlodzinski's strength there, or would he have maybe fared better under previous direction?
Yeah, I think Mlodzinski's biggest thing that he needs to improve is the fastball quality. Like, he's got the velo to be successful. It's plus velocity just in terms of just, raw velo. But it's a hittable 97 sometimes. It's a hittable 96. So I think going to an org that is going to, now under a new regime, be a little bit more progressive with their player dev, I think that's a system that could in turn benefit him, because I think that's what he needs. The breaking ball is a good pitch, as Ralph said. I've heard from some folks that, they might have had even higher grades than Ralph does on it. Yeah. He throws strikes. There's a changeup there. It's a pretty physical, like, durable looking body. So yeah, I think if they get the fastball moving in the right direction there, you're looking at maybe like a number 3 starter, maybe even as a South Carolina callback, like a Clark Schmidt kind of look there.
Gotcha. And let's fly the banner for the next one. We do have our very next pick, Kansas City Royals, Nick Lofton. All right, immediate reaction. Lofton goes to the Royals here. Their first pick of competitive balance round. Matt, I'll kick it off with you. This is someone who Baylor showed some maybe surprising power compared to his previous years here. Maybe something that hopefully, obviously KC hopes it carries over into his professional debut. First reactions on Nick Lofton.
Really good pull side power that's kind of come around. It's a little bit of smaller frame, but I mean, he's got the nice barrel control, and he's shown the ability to, he knows what the strength is, knows how to make his money, hit fly balls to your pull side. And he did that at Baylor. And I think you're looking at, the Royals, man, if you want to stick to a team that's college heavy to a T, it's them. I mean, think Bobby Witt's their exception to the rule here, right? Everyone else is college all the way. I mean, they've loaded up on college arms a couple years back, got Bobby Witt with some college arms last year, and Brady McConnell, and Lofton's a more refined version of probably what they were hoping to get in McConnell, maybe. I think a more guy guaranteed to stick up the middle a little bit, not as great as an athlete, but better feel for the barrel and probably more power projection.
Gotcha. Brian, wrap us up here as you say goodbye to us. Nick Lofton, yay or nay for the Royals?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty sure bet big leaguer. Nothing stands out as plus. If there's more power there than we think, he's like a really solid everyday big leaguer. And even if it's not there, I think he's just, like a solid average everyday starter type of guy. Good pick.
Gotcha. All right. Hey, Brian, really appreciate your time with us. Thanks for spending some time on our stream. Thanks for your insight. And of course, thanks for all the player breakdowns you did with Ralph over the last couple of weeks.
You got it. Appreciate you having me, guys.
All right, guys. Take care. Let's bring in, and let's make sure he's unmuted, Mr. Blessing.
Oh, there he is.
What's going on, Chris?
Not a whole lot. I'm just admiring Eddie and Matt with their wearing Depends tonight. We all know Ralph has disappeared a few times.
Yeah, it's a catheter. It's a catheter for us.
Hey, I got a kid at home. I just glued a bunch of diapers together, and I got that.
So your sponsors liberated
somebody, yeah,
medical,
and my health insurance company too, because I'm gonna need it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you might want to,
right?
No, give a little shout out
Chris,
to them.
I'm asking you. You're down in Georgia. Give me the positive spin on the Jordan Walker pick if you got one.
Wait. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I do want to get this next pick in.
Oh.
Let's fly that banner. Let's see here.
I like this one.
Yep. It is Slade Ciccone by the Diamondbacks, 33rd overall from Miami.
Jarvis and Ciccone, 2 top 30 players in the game.
Yeah. Let's Chris, guest of honor. Ciccone, man, he was one of the big arms and this big righties in his class. Pretty good get. What you think?
Yeah, this guy has stuff for days. I mean, this guy is pretty awesome. The fastball has late run and solid movement profile. The slider is also plus with vicious 2-plane movement. I really like this pick. The last 2 teams picking have been just exceptional with their drafts so far, and good job, Arizona.
I might like him better than Jarvis. I think the pitch mix is deeper, and I like the whole arsenal better.
I have him rated higher than Jarvis, but I think Jarvis has some success. You could probably argue there, but yeah, no, I like the Diamondbacks every year, man. It's the same team that come into the draft and do well.
Just clean up. They're silent killers, man. Pick up the pieces.
Very, very good amateur staff.
Yes.
And I know the pick is in for the Dodgers. Excuse me, for the Padres. They're moving quick now.
Mason Wynn. I would love for it to be Mason Wynn. It won't be.
That's nice.
Justin Lang for the San Diego Padres.
I like that too.
There you go. Prep righty.
He had some first round buzz to back end and slipped down here.
I had heard him heavily linked with Atlantic 25. You know, and I had heard him linked with at 29 as well. So sort of there you go, right?
Big Texas righty.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely upside play here. Has really good stuff. The thing that I've heard from a few scouts is the command's a little bit off, and that's going to be a hard thing to project. Little bit of a head whack there. This is a very high upside pick. I didn't have him in my top 50. So, I mean, and really and truly, I'm a guy that leans more on command than anything. So, when you get the fastball command debate, that's where I lie.
Lang was someone who experienced a big velocity spike this spring, reportedly touching 100 miles an hour. And the Padres are one of those organizations that when I see them pick a guy that maybe you questioned, remember we had these same questions about Hudson Head last year. You're like, you know what? Let me give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they've earned that reputation. And we are moving in quick. The pick is in for the Rockies, so we're waiting on word on exactly who it will be.
It should be the pitcher. The Rockies need
Burrows Caraway. They love themselves a reliever.
Is that your prediction, or is that what you're looking at?
My prediction.
I'll go with Cole Wilcox.
Draft one every year.
Prediction.
Okay, real quick before they come in, are there names that you guys are like really shocked are still on the board right now for you, Chris?
Well, it's not a name. I mean, y'all are throwing out Cole Wilcox. I'm not surprised he's still on the board, to be honest with you. I might be one of the lower men on him. I like Cole. I think he's a major league pitcher. It's a role. Scouts that I've talked to are kind of off about him. I got to see him about 12 times live in my life. So, I love the guys. I love the guys' bulldog mentality and that kind of thing. So,
Tanner Burns for me. I'm surprised that he's not off the board yet. Honestly,
it's a good one
here. I actually think it's a good fit for the Rockies too. He's a pitcher that probably fits the sort of style that they need. So yeah, that would make sense. I would hope that that's the pick here. I don't know if it's in yet or not.
They've got Veen, so with going Veen, I think they probably gotta go college arm to kind of keep the cost down, right?
At this point, it may not matter.
Right.
I think it's probably going to be the college players in general, JUCO guys are probably going to sign.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens here, but I do think Tanner Burns would be a good fit, and he's the guy that's on the board still, man. That I'm like.
Let's go to our best players available board to kind of see maybe some names that could fit. Jared Kelly set up there, Cole Wilcox, JT Ginn, Tanner Burns, Chris McMahon. Any of those guys really ring a bell? I know, Ralph, you just said Tanner Burns. Matt, Chris, any of those really righties just stick out to you?
Nobody really sticks out to me at this point. I mean, we're talking about this is the time of draft where money works and all that good stuff. So I have a feeling that Tanner Burns will come off the board very soon. That would be my guess.
Let's find our best available hitters real quick, just to give the audience a different look here. Daniel Cabrera, Dylan Dingler, Dylan Cruz. Well, Dylan Cruz is gone. Gage Workman, Drew Romo. Some of the bats available for 4 teams to pick. Daniel Cabrera, Dylan Dingler. Any reason they maybe aren't here yet?
I'm a little shocked that Dingler hasn't got. He's another guy that I heard heavily connected with several teams in the teens and 20s. Whoever lands Dingler here, McMahon, these are all going to be some great players that teams are going to end up landing, you know.
And we're still waiting on
Mason Wynn is interesting too at this point.
Yeah.
We're starting our names, but
especially if Wynn ended up at 37, you know, I don't know if that's going to be
don't tell me that. And then let's go.
Wynn at 37 would be a lot of fun.
Wynn could go 36.
It's possible.
We
trying to get a reaction, but I didn't get any.
Still, the Rockies still have their pick in. We're waiting to see who it is. 3 more picks. 3 more. All right, let's fly the banner, boys. We actually have a pick. The Rockies have selected Drew Romo, catcher, to join the Rockies board. Matt, you amused?
I like Romo. That's a fun pick. I still think Colorado should go pitcher because it's hard for them to get arms in that organization, but they've identified Drew Romo, and I like Romo at the Under Armour game, switch hitter with some power. So I'm excited.
I'm a little questionable on if this guy signs at this slot. I had heard that Romo had a list of teams and Colorado wasn't on it. But, you know, maybe that was just posturing and should be taken with a grain of salt. So this is a little bit of a shock for me. I didn't think that Romo would land here.
We're at the point now where there's a question of, given the short draft and then the limited money and the deferrals involved with some of these picks, you start to wonder, the players who have been sliding here, like Wilcox, for example, like, is it legitimate now that they go back to school?
I mean, with Wilcox, he has incredible leverage. And I mean, it's the same leverage he had when he was in high school. I mean, a lot of people had him around the 20, 25 range. And that's where he's at right now. He has incredible leverage. And I feel like that he could help his stock going back to college.
What is give the audience some insight. What is the leverage that he has, Chris?
Well, he's a draft eligible sophomore. So being a draft eligible sophomore, he has another year where he can essentially make a decision. A lot of guys, I mean, leverage is everything. So you have leverage when you're in high school. You have leverage when you're a sophomore. If you're a draft eligible sophomore, you don't tend to have as much leverage when you're draft eligible junior. Because if you go back to school, you know, the money, you don't really have a negotiating power anymore. So he has a negotiating power. If he bets on himself, goes back to college, he'll be SP1 at Georgia next year, Friday night starter. I mean, that's a lot of leverage.
With Romo, excuse me, I know you're talking about Wilcox, but well, I lost my train of thought here because I know Romo, his ability is to defend, right? Are you of the mind that we should start shifting right now our philosophies on scouting catchers based on what might be coming down the pipe?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of taking any catcher from the prep crowd in the first few rounds. I'm just not a big fan of that. The hit tool has to verify, and he's a switch hitter. Left-handed swings a lot better than the right. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of betting that the defense is enough to carry his skill set.
Copy that. Let's I believe we do have a pick for the Indians. It is, let's fly that banner. Tanner Burns, righty out of Auburn, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Auburn.
Ralph, you and Brian broke him down in one of our first player breakdowns. Let's do it one more time.
I think we named Cleveland as well. Well, one of the unique things about Burns is he's a guy that has the ability to run the fastball as well as get rise on it, and he will work very fastball dominant, especially the first time through the order. He's not scared to work 90% fastball. When needed, he will go to the breaking ball. It's a slider, kind of loopy, but it's an effective pitch. It'll get swings and misses. Changeup will flash at times, but it will also show like absolutely no shape. I think that's really where he needs to improve. But I would say from just a command control perspective, just of one pitch being his fastball, he may have the best fastball command in the draft. I mean, he really dominates with that pitch. He works both sides of the plate really, really well. As I said, he can locate it low, he can work it high, and he tends to get a fair amount of ground balls as well. That's why I thought he would be a good fit for Colorado potentially, because he is a guy that can kind of manipulate contact as well. I like Burns a lot. I'm a little shocked he didn't go a little higher. I would have taken him over Majinski 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, you can find our bite-sized reports that you wrote, Ralph, on Tanner Burns on the scouting report section of our ProspectsLive. Just scroll down a little bit. So we have just one pick left, Tampa Bay Rays. They have a lot of talent to choose from, guys. If you're the Rays GM, where are you leaning here, Chris?
I really like. I would go with Witt. Let's go. Let's double up on prep pitchers. Let's just do it. Yeah, I want Tanner Witt here. 6'6" righty. Let's go for it. Let's just gamble.
Like it.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Let's fly the banner, guys. As I've pulled some video, we got word on who it is. The Tampa Bay Rays final pick of day one, number 37, Alika Williams.
Ooh, we can defend that, but that's gonna piss off the Tigers. I know they were
good defender at short.
Yeah, he is best defender I've probably ever seen in the Cape at shortstop. He was phenomenal. Not a lot of oomph in the bat. He's a good contact hitter. He's got good feel for the zone. Really level bat playing. And he's a singles hitter in my opinion at this point. I don't know if he adds a little bit more weight. He's a good athlete for sure. And maybe there's a little bit more potential thump there, but there's going to have to be some tweaks made. You could kind of see there, he's kind of a bloop guy, and that's just more or less what I saw in my live looks, but he is a tremendous defender and a guy that probably has a utility floor just simply because of how good the glove is.
I want to bring on Brian real quick as we start to wind down here. Brian, Alika Williams, quick thoughts.
I think Ralph hit it on the head. Really good defender. Controls the zone, controls the barrel, lacks much punch right now. I think there's some optimism regarding his power future because he's got some projection on the frame remaining, but it hasn't done it yet anywhere. So, that's kind of a wait and see thing. But, I think the glove gives him that utility floor, like Ralph said. And that's more of a Rays pick right there. Like that fits the Rays. So I think it makes sense.
I want to go around the table here for a little bit and ask your favorite and least favorite picks of day one. Ralph, I'll start off with you, my friend. Give me your favorite pick. Let's start with just go favorite all around, and we'll come back to the least favorite.
It's Bitsko. I mean, it's such a tremendous pick to get arguably a top 10 to 15 player at 24 in an organization that can do something with it, like they can pimp my ride, man. They're taking the Ferrari and they're gonna make it like a 1,500 horsepower machine that shakes the windows of your home as it drives by. I mean, that excites me. I'm excited. Let's go there. I hate that York pick, man. I'm really disappointed.
All right, Matt, favorite pick, and just give me your least favorite. I would have guessed York was Ralph's least favorite.
Yeah, I'll try to stay off of those. I'll go. My
double down.
Bitsko is the favorite, but if I have to pick another one, I'll go Pete Crow Armstrong. I think he just does everything. I'm enamored with him as a player. I had him as my second best prep outfielder in the draft. I think the Mets did extremely well for getting Pete Crow Armstrong. My least favorite pick, I'm not going to say York because I think we've piled on enough, so I'll say Jordan Walker for the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's close.
Brian, favorite and least favorite.
I mean, shouts out to the picks of both Bitsko and Mick Abel, but I wouldn't be sticking to form if I didn't say that Austin Hendrick at 12 was my favorite pick. Ralph's nodding his head and smiling like I think you could have called that one. I believe in the bad. If I'm wrong, I'll wear it. I've been wrong before. Least favorite, I'm not. I guess I'm a low guy on Garrett Mitchell. I just it's tools galore. He's athletic as hell. It's a great body. I just don't see that swing hitting for power. And then what are all the it feels more like Jacoby Jones than impact big leaguer to me. But that's just that's just
a name you don't want to be tagged on.
More Jacoby Jones and Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah, that's fair. There you go.
Ooh, I like that, Eddie.
Ooh, Eddie.
Chris, least favorite pick, my friend?
This morning, the Toronto Blue Jays GM woke up, and I don't think he could have dreamed getting who he got, Vanderbilt's Martin. I mean,
true.
I'm just saying, all scenarios, I just didn't see that one coming. So I think that was the best pick of the draft. You could not go off that player. Least favorite pick. I don't know. I guess I'm just not that high on Ed Howard as everybody else is. We haven't seen any performance for 12 months now. Had a very bad college year. He looks great. He looks like the ball player, but I just don't have him as high as some people do. So.
Gotcha. For me, Zach Veen tops the board, similar to Austin Martin. The Rockies just took advantage of what was sitting right in front of them. They took the top prep bat, who was selected second prep bat taken. Just tremendous upside and amplified even more by his new home environments. Least favorite, just based more on the player than maybe the team itself. Justin Foscue, 14 to the Rangers. Just boring. I don't see any upside with that. And as a bottle, maybe would not have been much better, but I would have just gone a different direction with the Rangers. I think that's going to wrap us up. Are there any closing thoughts before I give our things? I do want to, I want to plug. We are going to do a more relaxed day 2 stream. We're going to keep you up to date on our Prospects Live Twitter. You'll see some of the same familiar faces around here. Hopefully you can tune in and watch along just a little bit here and there. Ralph, what you got, my man?
Yeah, I was going to announce I have a couple of other guests that are going to be joining me tomorrow as well. Burke Granger from 2080, as well as Nick Faleris is going to hop on with me. So
awesome.
We're going to have some more folks that have had a lot of live looks. And I think as we get here into the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth, we're going to see a lot of my Cape favorites. We're going to see a lot of guys that, Brian's going to have great information on just because of all, the looks that he's gotten over the years. And then, Chris, whoever else jumps on, Matt, obviously with all his prep looks. So tomorrow will be very scouting centric. And I think more relaxed, probably less production value, just more us talking through the picks and what we like,
Probably no polo tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to be sleeping. I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm probably going to sleep between 10 a.m. and 2 before I come back on, because I'm going to try to do a mock draft right now. Once we
maybe squeeze a shower in there.
I want to thank first a big shout out to our guests. Jump in, Brian, Chris. Thank you guys for taking the time to have some fun with us. Really appreciate your work. You're very well respected within the industry, so thank you for sharing your insight. I want to thank Ray Butler, who showed up. Of course, our Prospects Live family. We got Alex Juicy Jensen. We had Diego Solaris jump in, Joe Doyle, Ben Chase. I think I already mentioned Ray Butler. So thank you guys for all tuning in, for jumping in, sharing your insights and your time. A big shout out to Trevor Huth, who's been running our Twitter. Every pick has been
the roof.
Yeah, every pick has 3 to 4 tweets attached to it. So big thanks to Chip for creating some sort of weird formula that made that Twitter thing happen, and for a lot of the graphic work was thanks to Chip inputting the work. Huge thanks to Sam McWhorter, Chris Dunn, and Mike Marino, the producers, the guys behind the scenes. Thank you so much for your efforts. Again, like I said at the very top, I'm a behind the scenes, day-to-day guy in the world of video production, so I understand your efforts. I understand the plight of being behind the scenes. They've been in my ear this entire time, so keeping me busy, keeping me in line. We are now at about 3.5 hours of the stream, y'all. We're going to call it. Again, thank you all for joining. If you're a listener, if you're a viewer, if you support our work, stay tuned. The draft content does not stop just because day one has ended. It's only going to pick up over the next week. We have a ton of great content coming out, fantasy content pertaining to the drafts, 2021 early looks, everything you could dream of. It will be on Prospects Live. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and we'll see you next time.